It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
the Mixed Martial Arts Hour back in your life on this Monday, May 16, 2016. Hello again, everyone. I'm Mario Hawani inside our New York City studio. I forewarn you right off the top, I'm all kinds of fired up today. I am fired up today for this show. I'm fired up for this week. I'm fired up after this past week. There is a lot going on. Another dizzying week of MMA since we last said goodbye last Monday. So much has happened. What am I most fired up about? Am I fired up? This is a taste of what transpired last week. Am I fired up because Gray Maynard, remember Gray Maynard? You didn't think I'd start off the show with his name. He's moving down to 145. Am I fired up because there's a new season of The Ultimate Fighter and they're doing it with Joseph Benavidez and Henry Cejudo? Am I fired up because BJ Penn is now fighting Cole Miller on the FS1 prelims? Am I fired up because ESPN is reporting that the UFC is in advanced talks? Advanced talks? What does that even mean? To sell the company finally after all these years, all these rumors? Is it actually going to happen? I have a lot to say about that in the third hour, by the way. Am I fired up because Frank Mir's B sample came back positive as well? Am I fired up because of the new weight cutting rules that the UFC is instituting? Am I fired up because Floyd Mayweather refuses to stop talking about Conor McGregor? Am I fired up because Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira is now in the Hall of Fame or going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame the day after UFC 200? Am I fired up because Bellator has decided to strip two of its champions? And by the way, release one of them too, Will Brooks. They released them. They stripped them. Remember last week on this show, Scott Coker saying, I don't really want to talk about that. They actually released the guy. Am I fired up because Phil Davis beat King Mo Lawal? No. Am I fired up because the UFC 198 was a tremendous success for the UFC because Stipe Miocic is now the UFC heavyweight champion? That title keeps getting passed around, although it feels like once every year. It does get passed around once every year like a hot potato. No. Shogun Rua gets the somewhat hometown decision? No. Jacare beating down Vitor Belfort? No. Matt Brown getting beaten down on the way to the cage? The next day? Getting submitted in between by Damian Maia? No. Chris Cyborg's debut couldn't have gone any better, although she dropped the ball after the fact. No. Bryan Barberena, the prospect killer himself, beating Warley Alves? No. Little Nog turning back the clock? No, 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 and no. I'm fired up because New York Rick is back. Yay! He is back, though he made the very amateurish move of, after a 2-week vacation, taking the red eye on the Monday you're supposed to be back. I mean, way to negate your entire vacation. You talk about a rookie move on his part, but, you know, one day the kid will learn. He is back. We are back. We have a lot to discuss. No time to waste. That's just a taste of what we'll be sinking our teeth into this week. So let me give you the rundown, and let's get right to it. At 4:10, we're going to be joined by Bryan Barberena. Bryan Barberena walks into Curitiba, Brazil. Everyone, including myself, I will admit, everyone, including myself, says, you know, what are they doing? Are they punishing the guy because he beat Sage Northcutt? Putting him up against Alves, who has looked very good in the UFC, big-time prospect, world beater, if you will, or soon to be one, in his home country in front of 45,000 passionate fans. What are they doing to poor Bryan Barberena? Well, he survives a guillotine choke and then survives a questionable first round as far as his performance is concerned. But then second and third, the man shows balls of steel, a chin, you know, tougher than granite, and actually picks up the hard-earned win. We'll talk to him about that. He just landed in the United States. He'll be joining us. Bam Bam, right over there. You see the lunchbox right over there. Bam Bam. He brought his lunchbox to work on Saturday. 3:50, we'll talk to Darrion Caldwell, bantamweight fighter extraordinaire. He has some news to share with us, so stay tuned for that. Bellator's own DC, little DC, Darrion Caldwell. At 2:45, we're going to be joined by Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen, a.k.a. The Fighter and the Kid. Truth be told, I have a teensy-weensy bone to pick with them. I will address that as I like to do things face-to-face, mano-a-mano, Skype man to person. They'll be coming on at 2:45. Very kind of them. 2:25, we're going to be joined by Roy Nelson, a man who's actually fought Stipe Miocic and Fabricio Verdum. He fights Derek Lewis in July. We'll talk to him. It's been a while since we had Big Country on the show. 2:05, we'll talk to Junior Dos Santos. Remember him? He actually has a win over Stipe. It was a close one. I actually thought Stipe won. He's coming off a win over Ben Rothwell. And he had shoulder surgery, so that's a bit of a mess for him. But still very much in play right now, especially with Miocic as the new champion in that heavyweight division. 145, we're going to talk to Will Brooks in his first interview since getting released by the Bellator organization. Will Brooks, now the former Bellator lightweight champion, is going to join us at around 145. At 125, we are going to be joined by Mighty Mouse himself, Demetrious Johnson, to talk about his recent win over Henry Cejudo. And oh, by the way, Mighty Mouse has some news to break as well. Isn't this amazing? Mighty Mouse Johnson has now 8 consecutive successful title defenses. The next best in the UFC is 2. Robbie Lawler and Ioannis Jacek. Miocic, 0. He just won the belt. Cormier, 1. Rockhold, 0. Lawler, 2. RDA, 1. Connor, 0. Cruz, 0. Miesha Tate, 0. Joanna, 2. Isn't that amazing? Doesn't that make you appreciate Mighty Mouse Johnson? All these titles changing hands, it makes me think, oh my gosh, this guy's even better than I thought. That's who I thought of on Saturday. That's why I wanted to have him on the show. Anyway, I'm fired up. I want to talk about UFC 198 right off the bat. And for that, let us go to the Skype machine and welcome in my good pal, Guilherme Cruz, who was in attendance on Saturday, did a fantastic job of covering 198 live and in living color from Curitiba, Brazil. Here he is now on the MMA Hour. Guilherme, how are you, my friend? Bom dia.
Bom dia. I'm doing fine, man. You?
I'm doing great. Okay, so this is the big question right off the bat, and this is one that I've been dying to ask you for the last 48 hours or so since 198 finished. Compare for me the acai in Curitiba to the one in Rio de Janeiro that I love so much. Does it hold a candle?
No, it's nowhere near.
Okay, did you try it?
Yeah.
Not even close?
It's nowhere near.
Okay,
Nah.
Good to know. Spoken like a true...
Like, you skip it, right?
That's why 100%. You told me, in fact, I asked you, how's the acai in Curitiba? You said it's nothing to even sneeze at. I said, all right, I'm not going to this event. Okay, let's get serious, though. A lot happened on Saturday. Like I said, you were there. You were in the stadium when Stipe Miocic knocked out Fabricio Verdum in the first round. Can you tell us what the atmosphere was like? What did the crowd, how did they receive the news? How did they digest it? How did they react to the news when, they realized right off the bat that Verdum is no longer the champion and he fought a completely different fight than any of us expected? And we'll get into that in a second. I just want to know initially, what was their reaction?
The first reaction was just complete silence. They didn't say, they didn't boo, they didn't say, they didn't do anything. Just when they're staring at it, was crazy. I've been to several stadiums and experiencing losses in other sports, and like Beto Correia losing to Ronda Rousey, but the crowd was pro Rousey in that event. But that was something different than anything I've ever seen. Like 45,000 people just in silence watching Verdum down and Stipe celebrating.
It came across that way on television, but then moments later, like 10, 15 minutes later, as they're leaving the arena, what was it like? Was it like a funeral, or did they start to get a little unruly? Like, how did they handle this sort of thing? Because we've often heard if the champion loses in Brazil, it's going to be dangerous for the guy who just won. What was that like?
No, they just clapped hands for Miocic.
Wow.
Seconds later, and then when Verdum was doing his post-fight interview, they also cheered for him. It was better than I expected it would be. A Brazilian losing a UFC belt here in Brazil. It wasn't like they were booing him, saying he's not good anymore. It was better than I expected.
So this was a huge success for the UFC. Again, 45,000 fans in that stadium. A lot of the Brazilian idols, as you guys like to call them, did well. Some not so well. But I'm wondering, do you feel like this, the way this card ended, in this shocking fashion where the Brazilian heavyweight champion, now we're left with just one Brazilian champion in Rafael dos Santos, do you feel like this now hurts the Curitiba market and the Brazilian market at large, because the fans go home unhappy, sort of like what happened in Sweden with Alexander Gustafsson. Like, that's the final taste in their mouth. Do you think that this will have a trickle-down effect?
No, I don't think so, because the biggest stars in Curitiba, like Chris Cyborg, Shogun, they won. So was the biggest reaction in the night for a victor was Little Nog.
Wow.
It was big. Yeah, I was surprised at that. But I don't think it hurts Curitiba. Curitiba is a huge market for MMA overall, not only the UFC. So it doesn't hurt them, especially because Chris Cyborg got a huge win. Shogun got a victory, even though I don't think he deserved that, but he got a win. So overall, but Brazil won the majority of the fights. But that last one was bad for the fans here that went to the arena. But I don't think it hurts the market at all.
If Curitiba is such a great market for them, and they can sell so many tickets and fill up a soccer stadium, why is this the first time that they hold an event there? After all these events that they've been doing since 134, why is this their first time there?
I don't think they have a small arena. Like Rio has, São Paulo has like 15,000 fans. They only have, I guess, 3 soccer stadiums. So and this is the first Latin American soccer stadium with a roof. So they finally have a chance to bring an event to Curitiba. That's why it takes so long for them. Like they have arenas, but it's like 5,000 people only. It's
okay.
Small one.
Was the roof open or closed on Saturday night?
Closed.
It was
closed. Was freaking closed.
Wait. Sorry. It was closed. Interesting. Okay. And it was still freezing. Do you think that affected the fighters at all?
I don't know, but it was extremely cold.
Wow. Okay. Okay, now let's talk about the main event, because to me, watching at home, sitting there, that felt like a completely different Fabricio Verdum. It did not look like the Verdum who, shocked us all from his return to the UFC after Strikeforce up until this point, beating Cain Velasquez and just looking like a completely different fighter against Roy Nelson and Big Nog, and the list goes on and on. Travis Brown, he fought a completely different fight. He had no patience on his feet. He starts bum rushing Stipe Miocic. Let's be honest, he looked a little bit out of shape as well. I thought that this was a rather shocking effort from start to finish, even including his physique from Fabricio Verdum. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, and he even admitted at the post-fight press conference that he was too reckless. He couldn't focus on the fight, and I was shocked because he ate, I guess, was an uppercut like a minute early before the finish, and he just kept going forward. He wasn't patient like he was against Travis Brown and another fighters with heavy hands, and he just moved forward. I guess he was too anxious to get a finish and celebrate then that he forgot that he had to fight and he had to win. So it was like, I guess it was his worst performance since the Overeem fight, and you can make a huge mistake like that against a guy like Miocic.
Last week on this show, there was some talk like, will the crowd affect Miocic because he's in enemy territory, get him off his game? In essence, you think that Verdum was saying that the crowd affected him, like the fact that he was fighting in front of 45,000 as the main event, that made him fight a different fight?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. He wanted to please the crowd, man. He wanted to get a big win, and he forgot that he went out of his strategy in the fight.
Wow.
So that affected him.
What a massive mistake on his part. I mean, it's amazing how different he looked and how different he fought. And to rush a guy like Miocic was backpedaling when he knocked out Verdum, a guy that's taken a lot of big shots as a heavyweight contender now and a champion. And again, here we have another instance. The fight is being, there's a heavyweight title fight. The title is being defended, and the title changes hands. It seems like almost every time there's a heavyweight title fight, no one has defended. I don't know if you know this. No one in the history of the UFC heavyweight division has defended the title more than twice successfully. Do you think Stipe Miocic has a long run in him? He said this afterwards, that he's not going to give up the belt for a long time. I expect him not to say anything else. But do you see that in him? Do you think he has what it takes to keep the belt for a while?
It's weird because we don't even know who who's next. Like Fabricio asked for a title shot. I don't think
No.
for a rematch. I don't think UFC is going to do that. Maybe Overeem. I think I would favor Stipe against Overeem, but like Travis Brown and Cain Velasquez, I don't know who would be next and how would they look when they're getting that title shot. So it's hard to say if he's getting to defend more than twice.
I think it has to be Overeem. I said this last week on the show. Cain has to prove that he can get through at least two training camps, in my opinion, healthy. And let's be honest, this division has stagnated. You know, it's like we have to wait literally a year between title defenses here. They need to get some new blood in there. Hopefully Miocic can be healthy and keep fighting and wants to fight and be active. So I think you got to go with Overeem. I think it's a fun styles matchup. And look, that UFC 200 fight is almost 2 months away. Book the fight now. Of course, you want to give Miocic a chance to celebrate, but book the Overeem fight now for, September, October, etc. So, I agree with you, by the way. I don't think Verdum has any chance of getting an immediate rematch. I get the impression the UFC they're not huge fans of Verdum, dating back to when he won the belt and was talking about going to Cancun and Dana White's face. You get what I'm saying? And with the face that he makes, I think he went to the well one too many times with that face. Like he did it a little too much. It looked like he wasn't taking it seriously. Do you agree?
Yeah. I don't know, because he's a funny guy. He likes to make jokes all the time. So I don't think like that he was underestimating Miocic and not paying the respect that he deserves and just having fun all week. But I don't think that the fact that UFC banned his mask also affected him. But he was clearly disappointed that the fans wouldn't be able to get in the stadium with it.
Why did they not let the fans go into the stadium with that mask of him doing the Verdum face?
The UFC just ignored me. I asked them several times about it, why they would do that. But I believe Brad Okamoto of ESPN, he tweeted that the UFC told them that's because of the sporting bet logo and the mask. Yeah, I imagine that it would be the issue.
There was a sponsor there that they did not approve of, so they didn't want that to be shown on television.
But I thought I understand why the UFC would do that. They would ban the mask with the sponsorship. But the UFC here in Brazil, like all week in the workouts and weigh-ins, and they were also helping promote the mask. Like they posted pictures on Twitter with Verdum, a lot of Verdum's and fans using the mask. They tweet about it all week. If you are not going to allow fans to use that, so don't tweet, don't make it a big thing in the UFC.
In the co-main event, Jacare wins. Tremendous performance. He wins in mount, raining down ground and pound on a bloodied Vitor Belfort. I said afterwards that it was a very impressive performance. He's very close to a title shot, but I still feel like you got to go with Michael Bisping. Do you think that win should get him the next title shot?
I don't know. This middleweight division, now they had your Romero that beat Jacare,
right.
that used other thing. Bisping also got a big win over Anderson Silva, but they went with a rematch that I think didn't make much sense.
Right.
Rockhold and Weidman. I think they should have gone with a different fight, maybe Bisping right away. So I have no idea. They're fighting in June, and how long it would take for them to come back. And you have Bisping that fought in February.
Right.
Romero that fought in December, and Jacare that just fought. So I maybe do fight between one of them, like Jacare against Bisping or Bisping against Romero. Try something different, because you have a long time for them, like to ask Bisping to sit from February to maybe November or December to wait for a title shot. I think he would do that.
He would.
It's bad for him to wait like 10 months before his next fight.
I think at this point, at this stage of his career, he would wait. I don't mind the idea of doing Jacare Romero too, because I think Jacare won that fight at UFC 194. Yeah. Do a 5-round main event fight with them, right?
Yeah.
Maybe in Brazil.
That's yeah. They're probably doing an event here in September, but that's a good event. I don't know if Romero can leave America. Can he?
Yeah, I think he can. Because of his issue with leaving Cuba and Germany.
Yeah. Last time I asked, someone at ATTs told me that he couldn't leave America.
Okay, well, that's a problem.
Uh,
All right, we'll look into that. Although he is free to fight come July. Okay, so you that's your take on the middleweight division. Let me ask you about Chris Cyborg. Her performance was obviously great. Do you think that the finish was a little early, a little premature?
Yeah, I agree. I maybe just give her like 5, 10 more seconds
Yeah.
because Chris wasn't in a position like Jacare against Vitor. She wasn't mounting. She was just landing heavy shots. She was on her side. Clearly, she was trying to land punches, but it wasn't that many hard punches. So
Yeah.
maybe give her like 5 or 10 more seconds. Yeah.
I think that
And when I got the list of referees and judges, and I saw that Eduardo Ergi would be the referee, I knew something like that would happen.
Why?
Because he was the referee for Luis Buscapé against Drew Dober fight.
Yeah.
That he just did in Rio.
Yeah.
So I imagine that something like that could happen, especially in that fight that against Cyborg is a aggressive machine that would come forward. So I guess something like that could happen.
It's good to see that they rewarded him with a very big fight. No punishment at all for botching that Dober fight. So I thought that the week couldn't have gone better for Cyborg. She came across as a massive star. She was covered like one of the big stars back here in the United States. Like I opened the New York Post, big newspaper here in the United States, here in New York. Yeah. And there's a huge spread on just her. Like she's the main event. She makes weight, although she looked a little sucked in. She made the weight, 139. All's well. She wins. She's dominant. I thought she dropped the ball, though, in the post-fight interview. And this is why I think she dropped the ball. She dropped the ball because she could have called out Ronda Rousey, and that fight would be gigantic. It would be bigger. The UFC has trained us now to not really care about the belts anymore. I mean, let's be honest. Look what's happening in the light heavyweight division, the featherweight division. Look what Bellator is doing with Minakov and Will Brooks. Belts mean nothing in 2016. Everyone wants to see Cyborg Ronda. It's the fight we've been talking about. It's our Pacquiao versus Mayweather. She should have called her out, just said, Ronda, stop running. Here I am. I'm finally here. Meet me at 140, whatever the case may be. And what makes it worse is that, and I know it's not her, but she goes on Twitter the next day and then she talks smack. I mean, if you're going to do that, if you're going to play that game, then, come on. Then say it in the cage too. Or if you're not going to say it in the cage, then don't play that game. Do you agree that she kind of dropped the ball there after the fact? Because that would have been replayed everywhere.
Yeah, 100%. When I asked her at the press conference why she didn't she call out Ronda, she had it was her moment that she was celebrating her win. But then, like hours later on Twitter, it's not her. It's like someone that's just doing her Twitter and her Facebook doing that. Like she doesn't help her because they portray someone that she's not. She's not like this crazy girl like treating and
she's a nice person. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it was if she wanted to call out Ronda, she would do it at a press conference, talking to Bryan after the fight, not on Twitter only.
Yeah. Stupid.
Doesn't make any sense.
Where a fraction of the audience is watching. That kind of got under my skin. Let me ask you about the Matt Brown situation. So he flips off the crowd. He turns his back to them at the weigh-in. They boo him. It's obviously a very hostile environment. He goes to the cage and literally gets punched in the head multiple times. Yeah. And somehow is able to block this out and fight, valiantly. He gets submitted with around 30 seconds left. But the next day, he gets attacked by a former coach in the hotel. What can you tell us about this situation and where it stands right now?
Yeah, the first word that got out, it was like a random fan that got into the lobby hotel and attacked him. And then we find out that it was his former coach, Rodrigo Bocci, that they had an issue in the past. Bocci claims that he attacked him in the gym and almost got him blind. Matt Brown says he's lying. And that was pretty much it, like a year ago or so. Uh-huh. And I saw that Bocci was in Curitiba because he posted on his Facebook that he was here and also posted like war Damian Maia, who was rooting for Damian against Matt Brown, not surprisingly. And but then I called the police and got all the information like Rodrigo attacked him and Matt Brown at the hotel and then just ran away, and one of Matt Brown's friends went after him and got him and also punched him in the face several times. That's on video. Yeah. And Rodrigo Bocci is the one pressing charges against Matt Brown's friend.
Oh, yeah. His friend.
His friend. And Matt Brown left Brazil. I asked the police if Matt Brown wanted to press charges against Rodrigo Bocci, he should have been went to the police station on Sunday to press charges. But I guess he doesn't care. He won't go anywhere.
Right.
But just charges won't go. It won't go nowhere because it's nothing big. It would be like nothing, like slap in the wrist,
sure,
or something like that. So yeah, but I'm just surprised that Rodrigo Botti decided to press charges, even though he's the one that started everything.
You get the impression that Matt Brown just wanted to get the heck out of there and not have to stick around after the Saturday night that he had. Yeah, I don't blame him either. Okay, Little Nog beats Pat Cummins. Bryan Barberena beats Warley Alves. Shogun Rua beats Corey Anderson. Which one surprised you most of those three?
Barberena.
Yeah.
Barberena. I thought like Warley Alves would just smoke him.
Really? It started off well.
But man, that was surprising. Little Nog, I also expected Patty Cummins to win, but I know that his boxing could become a problem for Cummins. So that was okay. Shogun, I think he lost. So
you think he lost?
Warley Alves was just surprising.
What'd you do? You thought Shogun had the first round and lost the second and third?
First round?
Yeah.
He was with the first round until the last second. That he dropped him. And the second round, he also dropped him in the end, but it wasn't enough for him to steal the round. And the third round, he lost it. Yeah, fine. So I think it was rounds 2 and 3 for Corey Anderson.
Very, very close fight. It reminded me of UFC 134 when they booked Brendan Schaub against Big Nog, where they wanted the young guy to sort of get the win over or that's how it was booked against the legend. And then the legend says, you know what? I'm not done just yet. Credit to Shogun. It was a close fight. I agree. Although you can make the case, if you're going to give him the first round, you can make the case that he may have stole the second with that knockdown. So a great moment for Curitiba's own Saturday night in Brazil. All right, Guilherme, great stuff, my man. I appreciate the time. You killed it last week. Very, very, very well done. And always great to have you on. So thank you very much for the insight.
Thank you, man.
All right, there he is, Guilherme Cruz of MMAfighting.com talking about UFC 198. Okay, let us move along now to our next guest. Very excited, as always, to talk to the reigning, defending UFC flyweight champion, a man that is finally getting the respect that he deserves in this business. The one and only Mighty Mouse, Demetrious Johnson, is on the phone. Demetrious, how are you?
I'm good, Aaron. How are you, my friend?
I am doing great. What a pleasure it is to talk to you. I said this at the top of the show. You probably heard it because I know you like to listen every week while you're doing the dishes. That's your chore for the day. You're doing the dishes, I'm told. Is it raining over there in Seattle?
Unfortunately, it is raining right now. Last week, we were blessed with beautiful weather, 80 degrees. Champion's out there working on his tan, looking good. So, it's raining right now.
I love it. There's something, I got to say, I'm going on a tangent here, but there's just something about you and these chores, the fence washing. I don't know what's okay. Well, let's go through it. We've conquered the fence washing.
The fence is washed. It just needs to be stained. I still got to pressure wash the concrete. So that's the chore. That's my goal when I get back home from my trip with the wife.
Okay, but why did it take so long to do this? Why was this a 4-day process for you? Why couldn't you do it in one afternoon?
Because I have 2 kids and I have fucking 30 panels to do, and it's very tedious work. And I ran out of gas. I got refilled, and the kids got to put them down for a nap. So I still have my other family chores to do as well. So that's just an extra on top of everything else. I can't just drop everything else. I'm still playing video games, still twitching, and doing the pressure washing too. So I even took 2 days off, so that's why it took so long.
I love the fact that I think for the first time in my life I heard you say ran out of gas. I never thought I'd hear that out of your mouth. Though I will say, it just feels like washing a fence is something that could take an hour or so. And then your head, what went wrong with your head? What was going on over there? Was it sunburn? What was that white stuff on your head? We just showed a picture of it. What was that?
It was basically the wood particles off of the fence. So my fence hasn't been cleaned for 3 years straight. So I have to basically strip off all the old dead wood. And, I'm basically doing it. Usually people, when they pressure wash, they wear a full suit. So, they put the suit on, they pressure wash. When they get done pressure washing, they take the suit off. They're basically clean. I go all organic, my friend. No suit needed. Just take my shirt off and blast away. Then the wood particles get on my face. So that's why my wife wouldn't do it, because she goes, I got hair and shit, so I don't want that on my hair. And I was like, no problem, I will do it myself.
Do you wear goggles?
Oh, hell yeah, I wear goggles, yes.
Okay, good. Do you get splinters on your head?
Oh yeah, splinters.
What?
I mean, not splinters, but the wood particles on my head. Yes, they don't impact this beautiful bald head of mine. No.
But you're out there washing that fence, shirtless. You got your 8-pack. You're rocking that. You got the sandals, the whole bit. Are people coming out of their house watching this? Because I feel like, you know, like the ladies of the neighborhood would just watch you do this. This is a big event for them.
No, the neighborhood and the ladies aren't coming out to watch me do this. They have husbands of their own that keep them very happy. So I don't think they need to come down there and watch this chocolate man work on the fence. I think they're well satisfied at home.
But it's not every day. It's not every day that someone, you know, as ripped and built as you is out there working hard on his, unless that is something that you do every day, is it?
So that is something I do every day when I'm home. I'm always outside with the kids and doing something, or playing with them, or working in the yard doing something. I'm a very active guy. You know, when I might get ready for my fight, or I don't have a fight booked, I'm always outside doing something. You know, I don't like to travel, or I'm not doing movies, or running around doing these interviews or press conferences and stuff. I'm at home, you know, spend time with the family.
How much was this weighing on your mind as you were preparing to fight Henry Cejudo? Because I don't know if you noticed this, you mentioned this almost in every single interview, that you had to go home and wash your fence.
It's good, dude. I'm not gonna lie. It's good that it's done. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have to worry about doing it anymore now. Next thing is take care of the concrete, and you know, me and my wife always try to make sure we set goals for ourselves to do something in the yard. You know, we got a water fountain put in the front yard, so that was a big goal. And then now the fence is done. We got to stain it, and then we got to put caps on top of the fence post. You know, when you drive home, you work so hard to make your house look nice. And when you come home from the gym, when you come home from whatever you're doing, you pull up to your house, and it's a nice house. I mean, obviously I could pay someone to do all this stuff, but there's something about, you know, putting that elbow grease in and, you know, let it be done. Do it yourself.
What an inspiration you are to men across this great country. Okay, so what's next? The concrete, that's next?
That's next. Concrete's next, baby.
Can we get, are we going to continue to chronicle this for, you know, the man like myself who is very inadequate when it comes to, you know, housekeeping and things like that? I'm almost living vicariously through you, not so much because of your fighting skills, just because of the way that you get things done. I mean, I text you, hey, we're going to call you at 1:25. You tell me, yep, I'm just doing the dishes. I mean, you really are a Renaissance man. You're the 2016 man. You should be man of the year, for God's sakes.
I appreciate that. And yes, I'll do a special video for you, Ronnie, when it comes to pressure washing the concrete. I'll take care of it. I'll give you something nice you'll like.
Okay, you have big news to break, right?
Yes, if you'd like me to break it. I mean, you can break it. You can give me the introduction. I'll try and knock it out of the park. So.
Okay, Demetrious Johnson, as I've been saying time and again for the last few years, is the most underappreciated champion in UFC history. He is not getting the love that he deserves from the company as far as promotion is concerned, from the fans, from his opponents. I mean, for God's sakes, we got 2 opponents now who he just beat. They're going to go teach other fighters how to beat him in a reality show. It's all crazy. But things are changing for Demetrious Johnson coming off that fantastic win over Henry Cejudo. Not only are they saying that he's potentially the pound-for-pound king, but the UFC is getting behind their guy. They're making things right. Is that not right, Demetrious?
Yes, absolutely. They've always been behind me. You know, the champ just signed, you know, a new contract with the UFC, 8-fight deal. I'm very excited to announce that. I think it's great things to come in the future. You know, I think it's a great thing that finally the UFC is giving the Ultimate Fighter the Fighter show the flyweight. I think you guys are going to see a lot of great competitors. You know, they're going to go around and grab the best flyweights out there. You know, a lot of people who follow me on my stream or talk to me, I'm probably one of the most humble people in the world, and I will continue to be humbled. There's always a bigger fish in the sea. You know, the world is a huge place, and there's always a diamond in the rough, and I'm sure the UFC will find it, and then I will walk horns with this gentleman eventually.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second, though. How many fights? That was all well and good, but how many fights did you have left on your old contract?
I had about 3 going in the fight with Henry Cejudo, so after I beat Cejudo, I had 2 left.
Okay, and as you know, free agency, testing the market, all that stuff, it's the flavor of the week or year in MMA. Did you consider doing that as well?
Yeah, at one point, but at the same time, I think when fighters do that, they want to see what they're worth. But at the same time, if they're going to negotiating with UFC and they get what they hear what they like, then there's no point in going out testing free agency. And the thing is too, I don't care what anybody says. Even Rampage Jackson said it before. Nobody treats you better than UFC. I mean, every single time I'm going to a place, and when I'm in fight week, I am the first person to check the scale in the morning, and I can just call somebody in the UFC like, hey, Tony, the doors are locked to the workout room. Can I please get in? They're like, absolutely, champ. We'll get you somebody down there. Even before I was champ, they would still treat me with courtesy and make sure if I needed something, they would take care of it. And that goes a long way. When I need to do my video production or my shooting, I'm like, hey, can I get this done in the morning? I want to get all my schedule done in the morning because I want the rest of the day to relax and train do my workouts or whatever. And they've always been accommodating to me. I don't really go on record saying all that stuff because it's nobody's business how well the UFC treats me. I don't need to go out there and find how well they treat me.
Yeah.
It's something that they just do.
Well, that's great to hear. How were the negotiations?
They're good. I don't handle that. Matt Hume does.
So you had no part in any of it. They never asked you to weigh in, get your thoughts, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, they do, but at the same time, that I don't weigh in with the UFC. That's what Matt Hume does for me, and so does Brad Curtin, and we all sit down and we talk and we discuss it. And prior for me going into the fight, him and Cejudo, we're already talking about negotiations and what I wanted, and went out there and fought him and Cejudo and did my job. And then, Matt Hume steps in, does his part. And my job is just to fight. That's my job. From day one, even when I was an amateur, one of my coaches instilled in me for the longest time, same as Matt Hume and even Dana White. Well, Dana White didn't instill this in me, but, Matt was like, dude, your job is to go out there and fight. Just go out there and fight and win, and everything will take care of itself. Even, a long time ago, I was in, Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta's office, talking to him. And he was like, Lorenzo Fertitta was like, dude, you're so fucking dominant. Like, we need to make people believe you can lose. And that way people will tune in. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to do everything I can to let the world know my personality. This is who I am. I'm not going to be – I'll probably never be a shit talker because somebody comes in my face and goes, DJ, you fucking suck. I'll beat your ass. I'm like, okay, now, bye-bye, thank you. I'm going to go this way and go do something else. You have a great life. And that's as far as my trash talking goes because there's no point of it. Henry Cejudo, he says, I am the big cheese. I am the mousetrap. I'm going to catch on. Like, you ain't catching shit, dog. I mean, I could have said that, but, I didn't want to waste my energy and do it. And left it at that. So, but yeah, Dana White was like, dude, you just keep on winning. Anderson Silva didn't get, popular until he fought Chael Sonnen. And, he had that 5-round war with Chael Sonnen. Then they had another fight, the rematch. And Anderson blew out the water. So for me, I think the world's starting to now catch my personality that I'm just a down-to-earth guy and I play video games and fight.
I love the fact that the UFC got this done before your contract was up, instilling that confidence in you, letting the world know that this is a fighter that we want to get behind. But did you realize this, Demetrious? As I was going to say at the top of this interview, and I said at the top of the show, you have the longest. I mean, I'm sure you knew that you have the longest current title defense streak in the UFC, 8 in a row. This is something that means a lot to you. You want to break that Anderson Silva record. Did you know that the next best person has 2 in a row?
Yeah. Somebody told me that the other day.
That's insane.
Like I said, well, it's part of the sport. The sport's always evolving, and that's what I'm always trying to do, working out with Matt Hume and Brad Curtin. I've been to the same gym for 19 years. I've never went to a different gym to train with a different coach. You see a lot of fighters do it, and I think I've gone out there trying to find something, but if you're at the gym, I always believe when I lost, and I was like, okay, this is the reason why you lost. And I could have picked up and just left like, oh, I'm not, getting what I need here or this and that, or I don't have a physical therapist, or I don't have a power training system, or I don't have a dietitian, all that stuff. Instead, I was like, okay, how can I read a book to make my diet better? How can I fix this problem of my skill set together as a team instead of going somewhere and using somebody as a crutch? To fix my problem, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's a credit to my team and Matt Hume and Brad Curtin. We're going to continue to keep on working hard, regardless of whoever we're fighting next, and go out there and do our best. And that's how it's always been from day one before we defended the title for the first time. You can make the case that in 2016, titles haven't meant this little in MMA ever. I mean, with all the interim titles and, people in other organizations getting stripped for whatever, crazy reasons.
And you can make the case because the title moves so much as well that becoming champion doesn't mean as much. I would argue that becoming the flyweight champion means more than becoming champion in any other division because you have been so dominant. Someone beats you, that means something. You know what I mean? Like, you can make the case that, yeah, maybe you don't get the pay-per-view buys and all that stuff, but your title means more than any other title out there. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, the biggest thing is, like, a lot of people might not even care about me breaking Anderson Silva's record, but for me, it's a goal for myself. That way, on time to time, 10 years down the road in the UFC, I'm sure they'll still be running that. And, Mike Goldberg and Joe Rogan will go like, and we look at the title defense, who has the most record, and it's still Demetrious Johnson. The man is retired. He still has it. Joe Rogan, he had time in that. Yeah, man, like I said, Demetrious Johnson was one of the best top fighters in the world at this time. I still believe he is. It's going to be cool to hear that. And that's one of my goals, just to, like I said, man, stay healthy, keep on learning, head to the gym right now to go train with Matt, and keep on evolving as a fighter.
Okay, so you mentioned tough. You like this idea? You think this is good? Because some people are like, what? They're going to give a title shot to a guy who's not in the UFC? What does this mean to the other guys in the division? And I know you've beat many of them, but as champion, I want to know if A, you like the idea, and B, did they give you the heads up this time, or was it like the last time?
Yeah, absolutely. A, I like it because I'll tell you guys why. And B, yes, they did. Before my fight with Henry Cejudo, we sat down. I basically approached Dana White. I was like, hey, dude, I think we got off on the wrong foot about this whole Ultimate Fighter show. And I think I want to say I was blindsided, but kind of by, people, not you, but people on the stream, to where I should have taken the chance to read about it before. Well, I did read about it and give my honest opinion about it. But now that I know the true facts and the details about what's going on, that they're going to go around and get every single champion around the world. So here's the reason why I like it. So you have ONE FC, you have Bellator, you have World Series of Fighting, you have all these organizations in the world. They all have a middleweight champion. They all have a welterweight champion. They all have a flyweight champion. Now, we don't know who is the best in the welterweight division. You got Ben Askren over ONE FC tearing people up. I would love to see Ben Askren fight Robbie Lawler. But that would never happen unless they do an Ultimate Fighter show of the welterweight. Well, that gets to happen for me at the flyweight division, to where they get to go out there and try to find every big fish in the sea, throw them in a house, they can fight, and then the winner of that will get to fight me. Now, if I'm able to go out there and beat this person, then that will solidify me as a, true king. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I think, the UFC has the best athletes in the world, but there's still so many guys they can have underneath their roster which gives other organizations to have their ponds filled. Does that make sense?
Yes. So is Demetrious Johnson the most active champion in the UFC right now going to wait till December? What is that? That's in 7 months. You're not going to fight for the next 7 months?
We'll see what happens. Like I said, my job is to stay healthy and stay active. And what I mean by active doesn't mean just fighting in the octagon, but stay active as in continuing to learn my craft and hone it and make my skills a lot sharper. So if the UFC calls me and gives me an offer to fight somebody, absolutely I'm going to take it. Even though they have the show that's, based around me, I'm sure the show might be based around, they're just going to get a title shot regardless. The show hasn't even aired yet. So for me, I'm focused on myself and continuing to get better.
Have they talked about what's next yet? I mean, have they sat down and said, okay, this is what they want you to do? Have you had that discussion? And where does the 135 talk fall into that? Because as you know, after the fight, everyone was talking about 135 for you.
Yeah, obviously, we just got the deal done, so no talks have been talked between me and the UFC. As far as 135, you guys can possibly see me go back there. Like I said, guys, I'm a small guy. I mean, I woke up last night this morning weighing 138. So,
wow.
That's like 3 pounds for me to cut. With Conor going up to like 170, him weighing in at 169, I've never hit the scale, woke up weighing 145 in my life. So for me to go 135, it's like 3 pounds. So I'm truly fighting the bigger man when it comes to that. With that being said, like I said, we will see. There's things in the future that can lead me back to 135. I'm only 29 years old, so if I keep on fighting and beating the guys at 125, maybe I'll go off and do one offer up at 135 and maybe fight whoever the champion is up there. But we'll see. There's a lot of killers at 135 that, that they deserve their shot first before I could just, jump the line. And I'm a very honest man when it comes to doing that. Like, I'm not just like, hey, Azamat Sterling, what's going on, dog? Hey, why don't you step aside? I'm going to let DJ get this crack real quick, dog. And then after that, if I win, we can fight. If I lose, we can jump back in front.
But is it fair to say that you want to break that Anderson record first and then go to 135 and toy around with that idea, or could you do that in the middle?
No, I'm going to do that first.
Okay, so you got two more until you tie it, right?
2 more to tie it, and then one, and then so I got 3 more to break it, 2 more to tie it, and that's it. I mean, who knows? I can go out there and fight my next fight and freaking lose. The next time I'm like, fuck this, let's go to bantamweight and try myself. Go up there and do that, or then maybe I might win at bantamweight. And I was like, I'm gonna stay here. I'm not, anything is possible. So nothing's set in stone and engraved. So for me, my main focus is to beat the Anderson Silva record, and then once I do that, I will. I'll take a step back and evaluate things. And a lot of people don't understand, like, when I fight at bantamweight, I'm fighting bigger dudes. I'm taking more damage. Another great example is Frankie Edgar. I talked to his father-in-law, and he was like, dude, when Frankie fought in 155, he would end up in the hospital because he's truly fighting bigger dudes, and, like, they hit harder. And he was in the hospital. When he fights at 45, no more hospital visits, no more damage, which means he has a longer career. So, I mean, you have to weigh the pros and the cons when you fight up a weight class, bigger dudes. I mean, so don't worry, that's something I'm going to take into consideration as well when the time comes.
And also, I mean, things are going pretty well for you these days at 125. What's the point, right? I mean, yeah, they're like you're smoking everyone there. Why change things up? It ain't broke.
Yeah, I think it's to get the fans on the edge of their seat.
Yeah.
To challenge myself. Don't get me wrong, I am challenging myself at 125.
Yeah.
It's not easy going out beating these guys and then, coming out being healthy in the gym. But my main goal at 125 is to break the Anderson Silva record, and then when anybody out in the world speaks of flyweight, I just want Demetrious Johnson to come out of their name. Like, I want to be the household name for the flyweight division. A lot of people might say you already are, but no, I want it. I was quick story. I was playing Counter-Strike on my stream on Twitch, and my fans were saying, "Hey, ask these guys if they know who Demetrious Johnson is." I was like, "Hey, guys, do you guys know who Demetrious Johnson is?" To go, "Who the hell is that?" And I was like, and I just started laughing super loud. And then my fans were like, the Twitch stream was like, "Hey, ask them if they know who Conor McGregor is." And I was like, "Do you guys know who Conor McGregor is?" They go, "Of course we know who the fuck that is." And you think I've been living on a rock? And I was like, Jesus Christ, I need to get my name on that level. By fighting, being good, not ruffling feathers, just by my skill set. And it might never happen, but I believe I can get there just with my skill set.
Well, I think you're on your way. The tide is turning in your favor. Last thing, just curious, because I'm a curious guy. Did you get them pay-per-view points?
You are a nosy man.
Well, I do.
You are a nosy man.
I have a big nose.
Let's say I'm good, man. Let's say
You're happy.
Like I said, I'm always a humble man. I came from working, a full-time job, making $20,000 a year. I mean, I don't ever see. Let's just say the champ might not have to go work at fucking Costco after he's done fighting. Let's just say that.
Great. That is tremendous news. I am happy to hear that, my friend. Very happy for all your success. Keep it up. I'm looking forward to your next fight. You're not going to appear on The Ultimate Fighter, are you? That would be a little weird, right?
We'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. Keep me on my toes. Thank you for breaking that news on this show. Congrats on the new contract to you and your family. Great job, my man. And always great to have you on the program. I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Money Scott.
Yeah, by the way, keep up the yard work updates, okay?
Don't worry. I'm going to take care of you, Ariel.
You're the man. There he is. Mighty Mouse Johnson. Appreciate his time. Just signed a new 8-fight contract with the UFC. How about that? They got it done. Well done. Curious to see what they do with him next. Do they keep him on the sidelines till December? Do they have him fight in the interim? Interesting times for Mighty Mouse. He wants to get 2 more before he ties Anderson Silva's record, and then 1 more before he breaks it. And then let's see what happens with 135. That's a long time, especially in that division. A lot can happen. Okay, let's move along. One of the big stories of last week, Bellator coming out, a very savvy PR move on their part, breaking this news on a Saturday afternoon before their own event and UFC 198. They announced that Will Brooks has been released from the company, that they parted ways, I should say, with Will Brooks, and in doing so, he has been stripped of their title. Now, his contract was coming to a close. It was going to expire this summer, so I guess they got ahead of it and wanted to control the narrative. But here we have Will Brooks joining us via the magic of Skype right now on the program. Will, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed, bro. How are you?
Well, I'm happy to see you smile. I'm happy to see that you're in a good place. Did you know that Bellator was going to do this on Saturday?
No, I didn't. I wasn't. I knew my management and Bellator were in talks. We requested the release, and they were talking about trying to get it done, and we kind of had the feeling that it was going to happen, which I appreciate. But I didn't know it was going to happen yesterday, or not. What is it? Today's Monday. Yeah, I didn't know it was going to happen Saturday and whatnot. But it is what it is. I'm happy it's done. I'm happy that I appreciate them getting that done and allowing me to move forward and accomplish other goals that I've set for myself. And I'm just ready to move forward, man. I'm jacked up. I'm so excited for the future.
So you requested the release. Do you think they wanted to keep you?
Yeah, I mean, they offered me, and I think I did an interview with you before a little while back, and I had mentioned, like, they offered me a contract, and it was a substantial, it was a quality contract, but I've always been a guy that has been really dedicated to accomplishing his goals, and we gave them a thank you very much, but at this time I'm trying to move forward and try out free agency and whatnot, and that was something I decided to do. So here I am.
So why did it take so long for them to release you? Because we talked several months ago.
I think it was because we actually, after sitting around and thinking about it, me and my management were actually thinking about, maybe we take another fight, see how we feel, and then come back to the table and talk about the, contract stuff. And maybe my mind would have changed, and it was just something that we wanted to hang back and see what happens. And I had a lot going on, I had my brand new baby girl came along, and me and my fiance needed to finish up getting ready for our wedding in July. And, we started house hunting and different things like that. So my life got real, things got real really fast for me. So I needed to take a step back and really sit back and think about things and not just rush into something. So, it is what it is.
Well, obviously, congratulations on being a father now. That's tremendous news. And you can see from your social media how happy you are. So I'm very happy for you guys. And you say that you're getting married as well. You're a dad now. You're a new dad. This coming in the midst of all of it. Does that make you a little nervous? Like, are you kind of freaking out? You're jobless at the moment.
Yeah, not at all, man. I'm a blessed man, bro. Like I genuinely believe, and we all have our different faiths. We have our different beliefs. And I believe that, I believe that the big man upstairs, he's got his hands on me. I got an amazing fiance who's always willing to have my back, and I've got a beautiful, healthy baby girl. I've got my fiance's mom. My mother-in-law is out here from Illinois. She came out here. She's been out here for almost 3 months now, just helping us with the baby and everything. And I'm just a blessed man. And I can't say it enough how blessed I am. So being jobless right now, I'm not concerned with that because I come from a family where we know how to work, man. We know how to get things done. We know when the going gets tough, we know how to put our heads down and just get back to work. So my baby girl will never go without eating. She'll always have a roof over her head, and my fiance will always be taken care of. So I'm not worried about nothing, man.
At the 11th hour, did Bellator try? Because I feel like releasing the champion and stripping him of the belt devalues the title. Because now the two guys who are going to fight for it, Patricky Pitbull and Chandler, they're fighting for a vacant title. They're not beating the guy who had the belt. To be the man, you got to beat the man, and they're not doing that. And they're just doing what they're being told, and they're obviously going to seize that opportunity. But I feel like look at that welterweight division. I think to a degree it has been hurt by the fact that they released Ben Askren and vacated the title, and now Koreshkov still has that Askren fight hanging over his head. I'm wondering if at the 11th hour they tried to come to terms with you, they tried to sign you, or was this a done deal a while ago?
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you. I really, when it came to that stuff, I let my management take care of all of that. He gave me summaries of where they were at in regards to what they were negotiating and things like that. So in the very last minute, that just came back, and that was the final deal. And again, I appreciate it, man. I didn't have any time to really think too much on it. As soon as I found out about it, I was like, yo, I was just so happy and appreciative of just the idea of being able to approach or pursue other goals in my life, man. Just because I just got this feeling in my bones that the next place I end up, man, I'm going to be a problem for everybody. I'm going to be something different, man. And I'm just ready to go. I don't know, man. I ain't got the words for it. I'm excited, bro.
This is great. I'm very happy to hear that. So you don't feel like your leverage has been hurt at all now that, sometimes when you're about to become a free agent, you have different suitors, including your current company, you have leverage. But by getting, parting ways like this, you don't feel like that's hurt your leverage at all?
Man, I don't know, man. I'm sure it has, but that's not something that I can concern myself with. All I know is I know how to win. I know how to go in that cage. I know how to compete. I know how to get my job done, and I know how to get to gold belts. I know how to get to the gold. That's what I know how to do. My management, he'll deal with the rest of that stuff. That's why I got him. That's why I pay him his money. You know what I'm saying? He does a great job. And let me take a minute and thank Monty Cox. That's my guy, man. He's been there for me since day one. He took a risk on me. He didn't really know if I was really going to be what he thought I was going to be when we first got together. But I told him a long time ago, man, you do your job, you let me do mine, and I'll bring championship belts home. So he's done a great job, and I've held up my end, and we'll continue to move forward. And again, I'll let him deal with that stuff, and I'll just be in the gym getting ready to compete whenever he tells me it's time to go.
Yeah, a true OG, if you will, in MMA management. Monty Cox has been around forever. Okay, so it's been around.
I bet he's listening right now. He's going to love that. He's going to text me about that.
Monty Cox, he's been doing this a long time. He's the man. I like him very much. Okay, so 48 hours it has been since they came out with the news that you're a free man. Has anyone offered you anything? Where do we stand? What are we talking about?
Honestly, I don't know.
Oh, come on. Sure. You know, Will.
My manager is taking care of that stuff. I let him know that I'm not in a hurry to figure anything out right now. Especially I do still have a lot of things I have to figure out in my own personal life right now. And I'm getting married in July, man, and I still got to finish up organizing the wedding and helping my fiance with that. She's got school things going on. I'm still trying to be I'm still running my daddy daycare here with the baby girl. So all I can tell you is I'm going to be in shape, and whatever happens next, I'm going to give them the best that I got. Wherever I end up, whatever organization I end up with, they're going to get the best Will Brooks that anybody's ever seen. So that's where I'm at right now. Again, me and my management will continue to talk back and forth, and we'll figure out what's next.
So the last time you were on, you sort of insinuated that you want to be in the UFC. I mean, they are the top dog. You want to be UFC champion, right? Is that the case right now? You want to be the UFC champion?
Yeah. I will never, shy away from that. I've let people know plenty of times, and I'll continue to say that. I believe that I can go out there and beat anybody in the lightweight division of the UFC and, seize that title, and be the man on top. I just have that belief in my body, and I have that in my bones, and I can feel it, and I know I can do it. So if that opportunity presents itself, I would definitely seize that moment. I will take that opportunity. But again, you have to have an open mind, and you have to be open to whatever this universe wants to give you. We have things that we want, but there's sometimes the man upstairs in the universe decides that it's going to give you what you need at that time. And that's what I want to do. I want to hang back, control the things I can control, and allow other things to fall in place.
As far as you know right now, are you aware of whether or not the UFC has interest in you?
I'm not sure. I mean, again, this is something this is a brand new landscape for me. This is a brand new place for me. So again, I haven't been. I guess it didn't feel real. It still doesn't feel real that I'm in this position. When I first signed with Bellator, again, it gave me a great opportunity to build myself up and compete and become a champion, and for a long time, I had the idea that I was going to be there and retire with Bellator and whatnot. And, but then I started getting older, and I'm like, man, I want to test myself out. I want to say that I beat everybody, So then that's when my idea of going into free agency came about, So again, right now, I'm just trying to get used to where I'm at right now. I'm jobless. I'm trying to figure out, I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing right now. So we'll see. Again, we'll see what happens, man.
Well, it seems like Justin Gaethje, the World Series of Fighting lightweight champion, is interested in you. I see you guys going back and forth on Twitter. Does that interest you?
Look, man, you ever notice how everybody's got something to say when they think that you're down, when they think that you might be in a bad place. They all of a sudden got something to say. But a while back, before all of this, I was all over Twitter. Like Ali that helped. I don't know if he's running the World Series anymore, but he was all talking about how their guys could beat Bellator guys and blah blah blah. I was the first dude to volunteer my services, do a crossover promotion, and this is what they jump on Twitter like Ali all of a sudden. Oh no, man, I respect you. I think you're a great champion. We'll see what happens for you. All of a sudden, his attitude changed. Then I yell at Gaethje. I'm like, listen, Gaethje, we're both champions. Let's make something happen. I'm sure Bellator would be in the mix of like that. That's a cool idea. I'm sure they think about doing it. Why don't you go ahead and talk to your people? He wouldn't say a word. He wouldn't say a word at all. And now all of a sudden he wants to try to get he wants to bring some attention to himself because now I guess it's like I'm Mr. Popular right now, and now he's trying to ride my coattail and get his name out there. But I'm not worried about that bum. He's all right. He'll be okay. He's okay.
Speaking of which, what's going on with your Twitter? One day it's deleted, then it's back, and then deleted. What are you doing with that thing?
You know what it is? It's one of those things where I recognize with myself that I'm a very like impulsive guy. I'm a very spontaneous guy, and I wear all my emotions on my sleeve.
Yeah.
So what I'm starting to recognize, I can always tell when I'm building up to like one of those crazy rants, and I'm building up, I'm about to like go off and lose it. And that's when I delete it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna step away really quick. I'm gonna go find something else to do with myself. Just because I feel like, man, like Twitter would get you in trouble sometimes, man. It's a trap. It's a trap. Like, for example, the little tweet I put up the other day about the Target thing.
Yeah.
You see how fast that turned into something else?
Yeah.
Like I straight up making a joke about how expensive it is to take care of my baby girl.
Yeah.
And it turned into something else. I'm like, oh man, like you can't mess with Twitter. So I take a break once in a while, you know?
Well, then once you put it out there and delete it, then people take screen grabs of it and they're trying to see
yeah,
if
I know. Yeah, that's like this last time I deleted it, my coaches and my management like talked to me and was like, Will, like you're a magnet for trouble, man. Like you can't like you can't say nothing with anybody like jumping on there. I'm like begging them, like swear, like look, like I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not doing anything. But they were like, look, just take a break, just be easy, like, you know, like just hang out for a little bit. But I hop back on there and they let me get back on and do my thing, and I might stick around for a little bit.
Let me ask you this two-part question. Do you think Twitter ruined your relationship with Bellator? And do you think you saying that you intended on testing free agency made them go, all right, we want nothing to do with this guy anymore?
No, I think, honestly, if I had to be 100% honest, I do think some of the things I said on Twitter, some of the things, the way I went about doing things was very unprofessional, and it wasn't in my nature, you know. I think I just got consumed by a lot of things that were going on, and I stepped outside of who I am as a person, and, you know, it was outside of the relationship with Bellator, just seeing the things that I was saying and seeing the way I was carrying myself just really bummed me out. You know, I wasn't even thinking about everything else. It was just, man, I was so embarrassed by some of the things I was doing, you know. And again, I always go back to this. There was an interview we did, and you had said to me, I can't wait to see the old Will Brooks come back. And that's always stuck with me. And that's something that, you know, I was looking at all those tweets and I was like, man, like, I straight up, that's always stuck with me. So I'm like, man, how do I find that balance in my footsteps again? How do I find my old self and get back to that? And that's, you know, that's what I've been really taking from that whole thing. Not really focus on anything with Bellator. To be honest, I'm sure I upset some people with some of the things that I've said. And, you know, I apologize for those things. I had opportunity to talk with Coker and talk with the different people, and we all, you know, we work things out. We got things figured out and, you know, move forward. So it is what it is. But, yeah, I'm just trying to, again, get back to who I am as a person and just remember what my character is and not, you know, let people decide what my reputation is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You know, I made a little bit of a negative reputation for myself, you know, and that's not who I am. It's not in my character. So I'm just trying to get back to who I am, you know.
In a perfect world, when do you want to sign and when do you want to fight again, considering all this other stuff that you got going on in your life?
In a perfect world, I would probably wait until June, you know, just because we close on our house June 3rd.
Okay.
So we're still going through all the mortgage stuff, all that, like HOA, all this paperwork. So I didn't realize how much stuff it took. The house, man. Like, they're all in my, what's your bank account? How much money you making a year? Blah blah blah, all this stuff. So I would really want to dive in sometime in June once we get moved into our new place and we calm down a little bit, and then maybe pursue some different things there. But you know, I heard through the grapevine, like everybody else, that UFC is going to Chicago. I just happen to be a guy from Chicago, so You never know, man. You never know if they give me that opportunity, I'm definitely gonna take it. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sometime in June is when I really wanna, really want to dive into this thing and get back into it. But right now, I'm staying in shape though. I'm staying in shape because you never know. My mind might change. Something might happen, but June is definitely the target.
Wouldn't that be something? July 23rd, live and free on Fox, United Center in Chicago. The now former Bellator lightweight champion, the man who's never beaten to not become the champion anymore, walks into the United Center on Fox wearing the Bellator gold. Will you walk around with the Bellator strap? Will you do that?
I don't think Reebok will let me do that.
That's true.
I don't think. Maybe you know what I'll do? I'll give it to Reebok.
Okay.
And they
put a logo?
Put the logo on there, the Reebok logo.
Wow, what a company guy.
How crazy would that be?
What a company man. That would be. Where's the belt? Where's the belt?
The belt is right here.
Let me see that thing. Let's see that belt. They didn't take that away from you.
It's right here, man. Look. Let me say this. Regardless of all the ups and downs and all the different things that happened with me and Bellator, we were able to get things worked out, and this thing means a lot to me. This is a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat, a lot of blood, a lot of ups and downs, and competing and going against really talented guys. So this thing really means a lot to me. And I'll always have an attachment to this. So Chandler and Pitbull can go fight for their. They can go be false champions if they want to.
Oh snap! There it is.
Thanks. This one right here.
That's the real deal.
Yeah, right.
They got to go to Coconut Creek to get that.
You know what? It might be Eddie. Eddie might have the real one if you think about it.
Oh, well, that's perfect, right? Eddie wins the belt on July 7th. Eddie Alvarez, Will Brooks, champion versus champion in the. What about that, huh?
Look, man, Eddie don't want those problems. He knows I'm coming from. He knows he's on my list. We talked about it. I let him know.
Yes,
he's a good dude. I let him know he's still on the list. I'm still looking for him.
Remember on this show you guys were on together?
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. It was a good time, and I love talking trash with guys who's got a good sense of humor about it, and it was fun. But I tell you this much, man, when it's time to go, I am headhunting for him. I'm looking for him. He's on my list.
All right, there you have it. Well, Will, I'm happy that you're taking this all in stride, that you're in a good place, that you're happy, that everything's going well at home. Proud new father, new homeowner, all this stuff. I mean, it is good to be Will Brooks, and you are a free man. So I'm curious to see how this all plays out. Thank you for coming on this show to talk about it, and keep us posted on everything. And keep the Twitter, man. Look, if you want to do something crazy, ask me first. I'll let you know how it is, if it's bad or not, and then we'll tweet away, all right?
Hey, you know what I actually do? I send whatever I want to say, I send it to my manager now.
Smart.
And I ask him, yo, is this okay? And he'll be like, okay, yeah, you can say that. Or I'll give it to my old lady, and she'll tweak it and all that stuff. So I'm figuring it out, man. I'm figuring it out. Like, me being emotional and like having my emotions on my sleeve and being impulsive, that's never going to change. I'm 29 now. That's in there. That's who I am. But I can double check with people.
You're growing up in front of our eyes. Great stuff, Will. Appreciate it very much.
Right.
Good luck with everything. Keep us posted.
All right, man. Take care.
Will Brooks in the house, the now former Bellator lightweight champion. Going to be very interesting to see what they do with him. Or I should say, what happens to him next. If I'm the UFC, I'm signing him. If I'm World Series of Fighting, I'm trying to sign him as well, because Lord knows they could use a big name lightweight. And they could claim to have the Bellator champ. You do him versus Gaethje. I mean, if I'm World Series of Fighting, that is a no-brainer. If I'm ONE FC, if I'm any organization, I'm trying to sign him. That is a supremely talented man. It would be cool to see him in the UFC, though. They didn't do it with Ben Askren, and I wonder if they're going to do it now, because for the UFC, it's a weird spot. Do you sign the guy that Bellator didn't want anymore, and then if he does well, Bellator can say, well, look how good he's doing in your organization. That's a weird spot to be in, but still. Very curious. And I do think it devalues that title. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. Chandler, Patricky, that's a great fight, but you want to have someone beat the champion, and then so it didn't work out. Shades of the Jake Shields situation, shades of Ben Askren, and now this, Vitaly Minakov. So the title just doesn't mean as much when that happens. But happy to see that he's happy with the whole situation, and very, very interested to see where he signs next. Okay, let's move along. I've been wanting to talk to our next guest for the last several weeks. Okay, we are going to go to Junior Dos Santos in a matter of moments, but if you recall, JDS picked up a massive win over Ben Rothwell. He turned back the clock around a month ago in Zagreb, Croatia. He defeated Rothwell via unanimous decision and just looked spectacular. I would argue that that was the best Junior Dos Santos looked since maybe UFC 160 against Mark Hunt, maybe UFC 146. I mean, that was a tremendous performance in a very, very important spot for Junior Dos Santos. And let's not forget, this is a man who back at UFC 90 knocked out Fabricio Verdum, so he knows what Stipe Miocic experienced this past Saturday in Curitiba. He joins us right now via the magic of Skype. There he is, Cigano himself, Junior Dos Santos. Junior, how are you?
I'm good, Ariel. And you?
I'm doing
good.
I'm doing great. Great to see you as always. I want to congratulate you first and foremost on the big win against Ben Rothwell. Do I see something on your shoulder over there? What is that? Yeah, you have. What is that?
Yeah.
Oh wow, there it is.
Yeah, I did a surgery on my right shoulder. You know, I was feeling that, so. Then I did some exams and was a problem there. Then we did a surgery. But thank you. Yeah, that fight was good to be back. You know, to actually be back winning again. You know,
yes,
was really good.
And we're going to talk about the fight in a second. But let me just ask you: did you injure your shoulder in the fight against Ben, or was this a problem that you were having for a while?
No, it got very worse in the fight. I don't know why. Maybe, you know, I didn't feel too much. But after the fight, I started feeling a lot of pain. And when we went to check it out, I have a partial torn on my biceps tendon.
Wow.
So then we need to do a surgery.
How long do you have to be in that sling for?
For wearing this thing for 6 months.
Whoa.
No, not for 6 months, for 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Then more 6 weeks to doing my physical therapy and everything to get back to the training.
In that fight, so I said after that fight that was the best you look since either your win over Mark Hunt or your win over Frank Mir at UFC 146. Like, you just really, there's a phrase, turning back the clock, like you go back to your old self. That's what it looked like in that fight. Would you agree with me? Like, when's the last time you felt that good and fought that well, in your opinion?
Yeah, I can't remember right now, but yeah, I agree with you because I was feeling very well, you know, very good, because I was maybe very worried about using my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling skills, and I forgot about a little bit of my boxing skills. What made myself champion one day, you know. So in that fight, I bring it back, you know, to the moment, you know, and I use my boxing skills because I knew I couldn't collide against a guy that big, you know, like Ben Rothwell. So that's why I think I did good, you know, because I did what I used to do very well, you know, what I love to do, using my boxing skills.
How early in the fight did you realize that you got him, that this was your night, that you were going to skunk him 5 rounds to none? Like, did you notice in the first round that you're just the better fighter that day?
No. At the whole time, I was very, you know, careful. You know, at some points of the fight, I was thinking, man, now maybe I have to go a little harder now, you know, try to knock him out or something like that. And I told this to my coach during in the corner, you know, but he told me, no, keep doing what you're doing because you're doing well. So I'm glad because I could keep myself in the same position, doing the same thing, not worrying about getting tired, not worrying about anything, just defending myself from the hard attacks from Big Ben, and, you know, moving a lot, throwing my hard shots, and make sure that I could win the fight very well.
Wow, what a performance it was. And in particular, the body shots. The body shots were just amazing. I mean, it really was an unbelievable performance. I don't know if you heard last week on this show, Ben Rothwell was on the show. He wasn't too impressed with your performance. He did not give you a lot of credit. And he also, to be honest, insinuated that some foul things were going on. Did you hear these comments? And if so, what do you make of them?
Yeah, I heard a little bit of this, but I think, Ben Rothwell is a really good fighter. He's dangerous, but he didn't find himself in the fight. I was maybe too fast for him, at that point. But yeah, I think he's a good fighter, and he's gonna come back like stronger. And I heard that he said it wasn't a good decision to accept the fight, well, I think it's very, very hard to say, but if you're winning, you have to fight with anyone. If you want to be the champion, you can't pick opponents, So if he would like to be the champion, he at some point he should fight against me or other guys. So it's part of the thing, to be champion.
Right. So you're not bothered by anything that he said. You don't take it personally.
No, of course not. Actually, it was good to know about him a little bit more there at the fight. I was studying about him, and also we have to do all the media things, and I knew I like, how can I say that? I got a little closer to him, and it was good. He's a really nice guy.
Yes, it's good to keep your enemies close. I've been told that.
Yeah, I heard like there's a phrase that say, keep your friends close, but your enemies even closer.
There you go. Did you watch UFC 198?
Yes, I did. I was actually commentating here at the at TV. Brazil. I'm doing some things here too.
I like it. You're the best. Were you in Curitiba or were you in Rio or Sao Paulo?
São Paulo.
Okay.
São Paulo, right?
So you didn't go to the event, but you were watching it on TV, I guess, doing the TV stuff.
Yeah. We had some TVs as always. When it happens in United States and all the other places, we have TVs in front of us, and then we do the thing.
So you have a win over Verdum and Miocic. Right?
Yes.
What did you make of that fight? You know those guys very well. Were you surprised that Verdum fought that way, that he would run after him? What did you think? Because I thought he just looked off. It didn't look like the Verdum who, the last few fights against Cain Velasquez, it looked like a different man, right?
No way.
No.
He looked the same.
He looked the same?
He looked the same.
Really?
He's not a striker, Ariel. He's not a striker. He can't strike with a specialist as Miocic, And, man, if you try to remember, he was getting beat against Mark Hunt very bad. He lost the first round, and he was losing the second round.
Yeah.
Then he threw a very hard knee, and he won the fight, but he was losing. Against Velasquez, he did pretty well. He did way better.
Travis Brown.
He got better with his stand-up skills, but it's not the same. When you fight with a specialist. I strike specialist like as Miocic. In my mind, he should try to take him down and use his jiu-jitsu. But he was accepting the fight, and when he was, when he got knocked out, he was walking forward like with no
defense.
Something very strange.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Against Travis Brown, too, on the feet, he was very calm. He was picking him apart, right? His striking has gotten better since when you fought him at UFC 90. He's gotten a lot better since teaming up with Cordero. But I just felt like he was impatient. Running like that against a guy like Miocic doesn't make any sense. It's not the patience that, right?
Yeah, for sure, and he was, he got, shot at the first with the same thing. He got shot once before he got knocked out. He got shot once with a straight right with that Miocic threw against him, and he kept going, like he kept walking towards Miocic without thinking about it, he was doing something dangerous. And yeah, that's very strange. But as I used to say, as a striker, he's a good jiu-jitsu guy.
Right. Why do you think no one... Did you know that in the history of the UFC heavyweight division, no one has defended the title twice in a row, more than twice in a row? No one's gone 3 times, including you. Why is that? Why is it so hard to defend the title more than twice?
Man, this is a very dangerous division, even when you have favorites, it doesn't mean that guy is going to win, as soon as you get punched, things change. So it's a very hard division, and but in my mind, I gave all the advantage for Miocic before of the fight, and I was waiting Verdun to come with a different strategy, trying to take him down, to get closer, not allowed Miocic to move and using his boxing skills, but it didn't happen.
Do you think the moment got to Verdun, fighting in front of 45,000 Brazilians, the soccer stadium, like he tried to do something spectacular and not fight the right fight?
I don't think so. Maybe he was. He was at his walkout to the octagon. He was looking, very happy and relaxed. So the way I see it, Miocic was just better than him.
What do you think of that Verdun face that he always does? Do you like it?
I prefer not commenting about it. I'm not talking about it.
Were you happy with this result? Well, it's funny.
Huh?
It's funny. You like the face? Were you happy with this result? Is this good for Junior Dos Santos that Miocic is the champion now?
I don't think so. It would be the same, even if Verdun could win the fight, I think it would be the same for me.
Okay.
But because, for me it's the same. I just think it was good that Miocic won because he deserved it. As Ben Rothwell, he's a nice guy.
Oh, wow. As nice as Ben or nicer?
Yeah, I think the same. I don't know them very well,
okay.
But the little things that I know about them, I think they are nice.
So now it seems like they're going to do Overeem Miocic next. Are you okay with that? Do you think that that's the right move?
I think that could be good. I think it could be a good fight. But if it happens, I'm gonna give the advantage to Miocic again.
Really?
Overeem. Yeah, Overeem. I don't think Overeem is got what it takes to beat Miocic. Miocic is really hard. Do you remember my fight against him?
Against who? Miocic?
Yeah, against Miocic.
Of course. Great fight.
Was one of the toughest fight I've ever had. He hits very hard.
Right.
He got pretty heavy hands, So I think, when I watch Miocic fighting, and Overeem fighting, I think Miocic is way better than him.
But what about, did you see Overeem against Arlovski? He's jumping around, karate kicking. He looks like a completely different guy. You're not impressed? You don't think that he can beat Miocic?
I don't think so, but he did well. He did very well, against a very tough guy, Arlovski. And actually, Overeem is coming from good moment. He beat me. He beat Arlovski now, so he's doing very well. You know, but I don't think. Like I said, I give the advantage to Miocic, but you never know. It's MMA,
Sure.
There's for sure Overeem have a lot of chances to be the next champion, but I think it's going to be hard for him.
Is that the loss that bothers you the most, the Overeem one, because you just don't like the guy? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It just...
Yeah, man. That no, actually, there was something. I have no words to explain because it's that was hard. That was hard for me. Not saying that he's not good. He doesn't deserve. he deserved the victory. You know, he won the fight. He was better than me. But man, you know, even watching this fight now against Arlovsky, you know, sometimes I say, you know, how I lost to that guy. But you know, I think it's part of the team. I'm not being disrespectful to him. You know, I think, you know, he's fighting for a long, long time. But man, would be great to have this rematch.
Okay, I'm Dana White. I say, Junior, I like you very much. I want to make you happy. I'm going to give you either a title shot next or a rematch against Overeem, not for the belt. Which do you want more?
The belt.
The belt?
The belt is always my goal,
okay.
My biggest goal. You know, I don't care about anything what's happening, about all the guys. You know, I sometimes I try to be a little bit more, you know, aggressive with my words, but I don't know how to do that, you know. My main objective in UFC is to become the champion again. I know that I can do that, and I will do that. So if Dana White wants to give me a gift, give me the title shot.
Okay, so what do you think is going to happen to you next? Like, what's the perfect scenario? I know you just came off of this surgery, but when would you like to return, and in a perfect scenario, against who?
Well, right now I'm not sure about it. You know, I don't know what's going to happen with the division. We are talking about Overeem and Miocic for the title shot, but we have to remember that Velasquez is fighting now against Travis Browning at the UFC 200. And, you know, if Velasquez wins, you know, maybe UFC can give him the shot too, you know, we never know.
Right.
But let's see. I'm not sure about who's going to be my next opponent, and I really don't care about it. Any one of them is going to be okay for me. You know, I think at the end of July, I'm going to be able to be training again.
Okay.
So I need 2 or 3 months to get prepared for a fight. I was thinking about, you know, with myself, thinking about fighting on New York.
Oh, yeah. Right
Right
here. 8 blocks
right.
8 blocks away.
Yeah,
I'm in New York, at Madison Square Garden, 8 blocks away, the world's most famous arena. November 12th, 2016, UFC 205. That's when you want to fight.
Would be amazing for me to participate. And it's exactly the time that I need to be 100% again.
And by the way, I don't know if you recognize this, but if my memory serves me correct, November 12th, 2011, Junior Dos Santos became the UFC heavyweight champion on Fox, UFC on Fox 1. 5 years later, you fight in New York. Am I right? Am I right with the date?
Yeah,
I remember that.
Man. You're right. You're good with that.
I can't remember anything else except for those things.
Yeah, it would be that was the first event for free TV, for network TV in the whole world.
I remember.
So amazing for me to be making history again, you know, participating of the first event there in New York.
Wow. I'm just so happy that you're happy again, because it felt like after the Overeem fight, you were lost. You didn't know who to listen to, but you feel like you're back. Junior is back, right?
Yeah, Junior is back. Because after the fight, you're right. After the fight of Overeem, you know, I was the whole time thinking about that.
Yeah.
That was bothering me a lot, man, because I didn't fought my best. You know, I wasn't, too much things happening, and I wasn't feeling very well. I was prepared for the fight. I'm not saying I wasn't prepared. I was prepared. But, you know, things were different. You know, I just moved to ATT at that time. So everything was new, you know, but now I'm back.
You're back. What a great thing. Beautiful smile. Junior, it always is a pleasure to talk to you. Good luck with the rehab. I'm happy to hear that everything's okay now after the surgery. Congratulations again on the big win over Ben Rothwell, and keep us posted. I'll try to make it happen for you. You know, I have a lot of power here in New York with the politicians and everything. So great. November 12th, I'll tell them what this date means to you, and they can get you on the card at MSG.
That would be great. Help me, so.
Okay. Thank you, Junior.
Thank you very much, Ariel.
I appreciate it very much. Obrigado, my friend. There he is, Junior Dos Santos, the former UFC heavyweight champion. How about that? What a story that would be, right? Amazing. 5 years after he became the champion live and free on Fox, he gets to fight at MSG. Okay, let's keep this heavyweight theme moving along, and let's talk to another perennial contender in the heavyweight division. It's been a while since we talked to Big Country Roy Nelson, and he's joining us on the phone right now. Roy, how are you?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's been a while. Good to have you on the program again. So we're talking about 198. It was Saturday night in Curitiba. You were watching, right?
Yeah, it was right after the Bellator fight. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was your friend. What happened with King Mo that night? You watched that fight. King Mo lost to Phil Davis, #1 contender. That's a good friend of yours. What happened?
You know what? I think he was just coasting. I think he thought he won the first 2 rounds and just kind of was just coasting a little bit.
He didn't pull the trigger?
Yeah. Well, Phil Davis is one of those. I guess we'll say not a fighter, but one of those MMA athletes.
So you don't think he engaged?
No, I think he, the point fight, take my pot shots, run, pot shots, run.
Did you train with Mo for this fight?
I did not train Mo for this fight.
So you think that from an outsider perspective, you're watching that it just it takes 2 to tango. Mo showed up to fight. Phil Davis did not.
Phil Davis does Phil Davis. That's how Phil Davis fights. Phil Davis, he's definitely. It's kind of like, for example, it'd be like Stipe. Stipe doesn't fight either. He does the point fighting.
Really? That's interesting. Stipe Miocic, who just knocked out Fabricio Verdum on Saturday. You think he's a point fighter?
Did you not see him run? He actually ran, first he ran, turned his back kind of over him. It's that new, I don't want to say it's the Greg Jackson, that point fighting thing, where it's not I'm an old school fighter. I fight on the mouthpiece and just, let's just go.
Wow. So fair to say Roy Nelson not impressed with Miocic on Saturday?
No, I was impressed that he, knocked Verdum out because I didn't see that actually coming. But at the same time, when you got, a 240-pound man running at you and you just stick your hand out, you're definitely going to hurt somebody.
Dare I ask, do you think that was a lucky punch?
No, I don't think it was a lucky punch. I just think Verdum wasn't so bright because he was just very, stand there, man, just fight.
Right.
He was running at him. He just ran at him. So
we just had Junior Dos Santos on, and he said that he thought that Verdum had the wrong game plan. He should have taken the fight to the ground, not, pardon the pun, fight fire with the firefighter and Stipe Miocic on the feet. Do you agree with that assessment?
No, I think if Verdum just doesn't just played it, I don't want to say safe, but played the point fighting game too. Right. I think he was out. He was already outpointing Stipe anyway. So he just was you know what? I want to hit him.
Do you think that he had something felt off? He seemed impatient. He just, I don't know. He didn't seem like he was in the best shape. He just seemed like he was not himself, not the Verdum since coming back to the UFC. You get what I'm saying? You fought him in his return.
No, I think he was, in a Brazilian crowd of 45,000 people, and you're like, dude, I want to make some things happen. I want to make fireworks.
Yeah.
And when you want to do fireworks for the fans, you want to, put on a show for the fans. You just sometimes you just get a little over anxious,
Did you know that no one?
I know that feeling.
Well, when did that happen? When do you recall that happening to you? Getting sort of.
You know what? It's happened so many times where I'm just I just want to just knock this guy's block up. I mean, all I know is Stipe gave me inspiration because if Stipe can be a UFC champion, and they actually gave him a title shot, I was like, oh, I do have a chance.
Yeah, because, it feels like moons ago, but it was just 3 years ago that you fought him at 161, and that was a super interesting fight. Remember that whole thing that your contract was expiring, then they put him in against you, and he was relatively unknown at the time. You were very frustrated after that fight. You felt like he didn't engage, right? So now here you are watching.
He did the point fighting with me too. He ran. You can actually see him. I think that's where the people that are track stars, but. I would love to fight Stipe again, especially now since he is champ with actually a full camp.
So you're sitting at home.
I would love a full camp.
You're sitting at home. You're happy with this result, right? This opened some doors for you.
All it does is give me inspiration that that if Stipe can actually make it to that, to the upper tier of the championship then I know I can.
Considering you fought him, are you surprised on this Monday, May 16th, 2016, that he's the actual UFC heavyweight champion? Are you surprised that this happened?
No, I'm not surprised. Like, the thing is about anybody in the heavyweight division can be champion any day just because of one punch. That's definitely, I know, like, up top tier, that's just exactly how it is. But what I'm actually, the inspiration that I have is that Steve actually made it to the championship because it is about politics.
Right, you feel that way.
If he can make it there, then I know I can.
Do you feel like that's been holding you back at this point? Like you should have gotten it a long time ago, but because you don't play the game, you haven't gotten it?
Yeah, I think he just the cards just fell his way, just like, Kane got hurt.
Yeah.
And then Verdum didn't want to fight, and then they're like, okay, well, we're going to make that fight happen anyways. It's just like how Stipe and Ben Rothwell, haven't fought, just because, Stipe was ducking Ben Rothwell for like so long.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just one of those, like, everybody plays that, political game of like, well, I don't want to fight that guy because I'm going to politically try to fight, instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to fight.
But you got to see, knocking out Arlovsky and then what he did to Mark Hunt, that was kind of impressive, right?
What he just last Mark Hunt.
That was a pretty. I thought that was a pretty one-sided beating.
Yeah, no, because all he did was just take him down and just take him down and take him down. He didn't put on the show that the fans wanted to see. With Mark Hunt, what do you want to see? People throwing leather.
Sure. So the last time you fought,
that's like going with Mayweather and going, you know what, I'm going to wrestle Mayweather.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. But he's going to run.
Well, you can't really wrestle Mayweather.
Huh?
You can't really wrestle Mayweather because it's boxing. But you mean like just tie him up all the time?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Okay, now I feel like you've baited me to ask who wins, McGregor or Mayweather?
What are you talking about?
Who wins in a fight?
Boxing?
Yeah, boxing.
Or MMA or what?
Boxing and then MMA. Who's your pick?
MMA, I go Conor. Mayweather, I'll go Mayweather. And then at the end of the day, they're both winners because they're both getting paid.
Yeah. You think this ever happens?
Actually, from what I saw, like I read an article. I forgot which article it was, but it was actually a pretty good article because it has, if you become a boxer and then you all of a sudden get the Muhammad Ali Act behind you.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah, it changes the whole gamut of making things illegal and legal and what's not legal, and it's pretty interesting.
How many fights do you have left on your contract, Roy?
Oh, a few.
A few?
Yeah.
Is that more than 3?
I think it's 3 or 4.
3 or 4. So you got a few more to go. Are you happy?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely happy. I definitely would be happier.
What would make you happier?
You know what? Just right now, what would make me happy is, just right now I'm focused on Derek. After I get past Derek, then just, keep on moving up the ranks and then hopefully, get that title shot just because, what I saw Stipe do. Because I can do that all day.
Mm-hmm.
You run at me, I'm going to punch you too. But nobody runs at me. They run away.
Do you like this Lewis fight? Like, do you feel like, considering what happened in the Rochald fight and how frustrating that was for you, do you think that, all right, this is a guy that's going to engage, he's knocking people out, he's a scary man, those celebrations are, something that you don't want to dream about. Do you like this? Are you excited about this fight?
No, it's like nothing to take away from Jared. Jared is a UFC athlete. Was a UFC athlete. He was an MMA athlete. He was a MMA fighter / athlete. He's one of that new breed.
Yeah.
And nothing to he's good at what he does because he beat Stefan Struve. Like he's a guy that can beat a lot of guys. But like for me, it's just I'm an old school guy, and but like, after rewatching my fight with Jared, I did everything that I was supposed to do.
Sure, and you won the fight.
So it was like I guess what do you got? What do the fans call it? Fighter IQ.
Yeah.
And like the perfect fighter IQ of 160.
Is that perfect score 160?
I don't know. I just know I think that's genius is 160.
Were you surprised that the UFC released Jared Rosholt after that fight?
Surprised, yes, but not. But it's all about still putting butts in the seats and putting on a fan. We definitely still entertainment. That's the one thing that I think a lot of fighters forget is it's not about just winning. That's why I think sometimes our fighter pay should change because it's not about winning or losing. It's about putting butts in the seats and putting on a show.
Roy Nelson puts butts in the seats.
That is true. That's what I love fighting in, we'll say, New York, because when I fight in New Jersey, I know I get the the home crowd behind me.
Really?
Because that's technically not New York, but it's literally over the bridge.
Right. But why do you have ties to this area?
Yeah, I'm American.
Okay. What did you make?
What's nothing than all American in New York?
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. But if you're fighting,
exactly. I mean, it's a big melting pot, but that's where the American dream starts.
That's true. That's true. I know it better than anyone. So Lewis, have you been impressed with him, and in particular his last win over Gabriel Gonzaga? Like, what do you make of this guy?
Yeah, the one thing about Derek is he reminds me of like a bigger version of Fedor. Like when he gets that ground and pound going, he loves to he'll just beat you up. And then the one thing he's just he's calm, cool, collected. If you do take him down, and then he just muscles back up, and then he puts the the wrath on. The one thing I like is that he comes to fight, and he's that's what makes him fan friendly.
Yeah, what do you make of those celebrations when he like bangs the mat with his body and all that stuff? It's pretty frightening.
If you're the mat.
Do you like being a part of this big weekend in Las Vegas? You're the first card, the Fight Pass card, but it's just a whole big celebration of MMA. Do you like that?
Yeah, no, I was just hoping that I was going to be the Fight Pass headliner. That was about it. But then
title fight.
You get what you get when you ask for to be on Fight Pass.
Did you ask to be on Fight Pass?
I did.
Why?
Because it was Thursday.
You want the Thursday card?
My weekend myself.
Right. And they're really pushing Fight Pass. You can make the case that they're pushing the Fight Pass cards more than the FS1 cards these days.
That's because they make more money that way.
That's true. Smart. The FS1 cards are paid for already, right?
Exactly. And every time that I get on a Fight Pass card, the subscription rates go up.
Is this your first time on Fight Pass?
No.
Josh Barnett?
No, first one was when I knocked out Big Nog.
Oh yeah! Wow. Speaking of wow, that was in Abu Dhabi 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago.
Huh? Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah. Years of April.
Did you hear that Big Nog is going into the Hall of Fame?
Good for him.
Do you feel like it's warranted?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame that probably shouldn't be if Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, no way. This is a different sport. That doesn't answer the question. Do you think...
Sure it does.
What do you mean? Pete Rose, that's baseball.
Pete Rose should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
I agree.
I'm just... And if there's things holding them back in that, then there's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame in the UFC that probably shouldn't be if you're talking about, like,
Strange.
If you got a higher, morality, I guess, for the sport.
Right. So you think it's well deserved?
Yeah.
What if Miocic fights Overeem next? 2 wins.
You know what? I think that's definitely a it's an interesting fight because they both play tag now.
Who do you respect as far as like fighting? Comes to fight, brings it, doesn't go backwards in the heavyweight division.
It's not even about going backwards. I don't care if you go backwards as long as you going backwards for a reason. Not like when I fought Overeem, I actually timed it. It's like 3.6 seconds where he actually has his back running for me like a track star.
Wow. But is there anyone in that division right now that you're like, all right, I respect the way this guy fights?
There's definitely a few people like Derek comes to fight.
Okay.
You got. Mark Hunt comes to fight. Junior Santos is definitely going to try to box you. He's going to come to fight. Kane will come to fight. push the. There's definitely guys that will try to go forward and actually try to fight you and try to put on. That's why fans like those people.
Yeah.
Then there's fans that don't like a lot of certain people just because of their stylistic of how they fight now.
One fight that I've always wanted to see, you versus Cain Velasquez.
Maybe when he's champ.
Yeah, well, you're fighting at the same time, He's fighting a couple days after you. So maybe...
Yeah, they're going to make him, he'll beat Brown, and then he'll probably fight for the belt.
You think so? You don't think Overeem's going to get it?
I think Overeem will probably get it. I think they'll probably make that fight happen as fast as possible.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to let the how like most champs when they get the belt they kind of go, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to enjoy this for I think they're going to do what they did to what's the 115-pounder Carla
Esparza.
When Carla got it, it's like literally I think it was like two months later.
Yeah, it was actually 3 months to be exact, but yes, it was a very quick turnaround against Joanna.
Something like that. I think that will happen. So whatever. So I think Alistair will probably fight for the belt in we'll say August or September.
You get by Derek Lewis as you're expecting to. What do you think makes sense after that?
If Stipe has the belt, it's Stipe.
Oh.
I just like a whole, just because I think the UFC owes it to me to give me a full camp to beat him up.
They do.
But I'm not worried about that right now, so all I care about is Derek.
You guys met in when was it? 196? Like you shook hands. It looked like the fight was happening, and then they gave him another fight against Gonzaga.
Yeah, no. See, what happened was he was talking a lot of crap and saying that he was going to beat me up, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, I love guys that call me out.
Right.
And so when he called me out, I had to make sure I saw Dana and said, Dana, that's the guy that wants to fight me. Let's make this happen.
And then you shook hands, right? It looked like everyone was in.
Yeah, I was just letting him know that, hey, this is a deal, right? You want to fight me? I want to fight you. Let's go. Let's make this happen.
And then they gave him another fight. Were you worried you were going to lose your fight?
I was a little bit. I was just a little bit.
Were you rooting for him against Gonzaga?
No, I was actually, because I thought Gonzaga was actually going to take him down and beat him up.
Didn't happen.
It did happen, and then
right.
The ref, so whoever's the ref got to make sure that the ref's not, on Derek's side of let's stop this, this MMA fight. Let's do this boxing thing.
Shades of you versus Arlovsky.
Yeah, no, yeah. That was actually way more worse.
Yes, it was. One of the worst of all time. Okay, before I let you go, Roy, I want to ask you this very important question. Tell me about Hog Car Tours.
Hog Car Tours? Oh, it's a new tour company here in Vegas that takes you to the beautiful Las Vegas sites and the best eateries in Las Vegas that I handpicked out.
Wow, so you're actually doing the tours?
I've been on a couple tours. I sometimes I'll jump in just for quality control.
So this is a great thing that fans could do if they're coming to Las Vegas. They want something to do. They can be on a tour with the Great Big Country himself. Where can people find out more about this?
Of course, you can always follow me on Twitter,
yes.
Roy Nelson MMA, and Facebook, Roy Nelson UFC. But it's really simple. It's hogcartours.com.
Okay. I recommend it.
Or those Twitter handles, or Instagram or Facebook.
Okay, great. I want to do it when I go there.
I got a spot for you.
My man. Thank you, Roy. I appreciate it. Always great to talk to you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right, there he is, Roy Nelson, one of the top contenders in the UFC's heavyweight division, back in action on July 7th in Las Vegas, part of that big international fight week. Okay, let's move along now. Very, very excited to have our next two guests on. They are so kind to be squeezing us into their very busy schedule. They are killing it on the podcast scene, not just in the MMA world, but in the comedy world. They're doing sold-out tours. They're coming to New York. I would have plugged that, but they already sold out the event. Selling T-shirts. They've got a new show. These guys are inspirations For little peons like me, I'm talking about Brendan Schaub and Bryan Callen, who are joining us right now via the magic of Skype. There they are. Wow, look at those faces.
Yeah.
Inspirations, baby.
What's up, brother? That's a heck of an intro.
Well, that's what I like to do. And guys, I said at the top of the show, nice little plug there with the mug, Brendan. I got a bit of a bone to pick with you guys right off the bat.
What's up, man?
I mean, I'm asked if you can come on. I was pitched you guys. I was like, you know what, Brendan and Bryan, I'm going to have them on. Yes, let's do it. My old friends from Fox, let's do it. And then I find out you're doing the great Joe Rogan podcast at 12. So you're literally shoehorning me in here. You didn't tell me you had a heart out. I know, I recognize.
Right now, and he's going to bust in any minute.
I know.
So, you know.
So you literally...
It's a busy schedule, my man. You know I love you. It's just a busy schedule. It's our publicist, bro. I'm sorry.
I mean...
I got tennis. I can squeeze in tennis, weightlifting.
You talk about dropping the ball. I see a tweet from Rogan that you're going to be on at 12 p.m. So you have a heart out. What if I didn't see that tweet? No one told me. I could have gone till 12:10. And then Rogan would have been pissed.
It might stretch for you. You never know.
For you, we'll make it happen,
okay.
my man.
I appreciate it. Well, guys.
Turn down Ellen for this.
Yeah, I bet. You're killing it. Congratulations on all your success. I'm wondering, Bryan, for you, off the bat, at what point did you realize that you had something with this guy? Look at this guy, this numbskull right here, this behemoth fight. Yes. When did you know you had something with him?
Well, when I started hanging out with him, and I realized he was a really funny guy, and a lot of my friends are stand-up comics and actors, and at one point we were at a bar, and I looked up, and he was telling a story, and he had 5 or 6 actors / comics laughing their ass off, and then Brennan and Joe Rogan and myself are sitting at Metamoris, and Brennan's telling a very self-effacing story, and Rogan's cackling.
Wow.
And Brennan gets up to go to the bathroom, and Joe goes, "That dude's really funny." And I said, "Yeah, I don't hang out with him because I'm attracted to him, even though I probably am subconsciously. Yeah. I hang out with him because we have a laugh." And I finally said, "Look, dude, let's do a podcast. Let's do an MMA podcast." And he said, "I'm not doing an MMA podcast. I'd rather be at the dentist to talk about fighting for 2 hours. Let's talk about life, and let's just talk about the way we talk when we're having dinner or hanging out." And so the rest is pretty much history.
Boom.
So Brendan, in that studio, when you were talking to Joe Rogan after the Travis Brown fight, that's one of the great moments in podcast history, when he was having that heart-to-heart with you and Bryan. I mean, it was tremendous. And I always thought after that, you turned into the biggest baby face in this sport. Everyone was behind you to prove these guys wrong, that you still got it. But you never did it. You walked away after that point. Why is that?
Well, first of all, I just got to add a caveat. Let me add a caveat to that before you answer this. That we didn't want to air it. I didn't want to air it. And Brendan said, "Let's let it just air it. I want it to be aired. I want the truth of who I am and what I'm going through out there." And that was to his credit that so many people said.
Yeah, it's not even that. What were your words? I never did it. I think the passion just wasn't there. I think, whether Rogan gave me that talk or not is kind of the perfect storm. And, Rogan and he's a close friend, so we've had many of talks. Right. So that one just as brutal as they get, and, millions of people saw it. So I think it was the perfect storm of everything. The Reebok deal, the way Dana handled some stuff, where I was at in my career, and really this entertainment side of things that really started to take off, and financially it would be silly for me to jump back into the octagon.
So all that stuff is still going on. You don't think you're obviously more popular now than you ever were. I mean, you're one of the biggest stars in the sport. You don't think if you fight, like, you'd get a main event that they push you hard because of who you are in the podcast world as well?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it for me. Still, I'm worth much more as an entertainer than I am as a fighter. And I was at Bellator, which I'm sure you saw. I was at Bellator this past weekend. I was there on a business trip and meeting with Scott Coker and those guys. And I was sitting cage side, and I thought, man, if anything's gonna push me to fight, it's gonna be because I haven't been at a fight since my fight with Travis Brown last December. Wow. So I've been away from the game a little bit. So I go into the arena. We're sitting cage side. They take me back. I'm friends with Phil Davis and King Mo, very close friends. So I go back there, and I thought I'd get that urge and maybe just like, man, don't you miss this? And I sat down. I looked at my brother, and I went, man, this is the nail in the coffin for me.
Wow.
It's just over for me, yeah.
We're having too much fun being silly geese.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you don't get punched in the face, so I mean, it's a win-win. What was the business trip about, by the way?
A number of things.
What can you tell us?
We're a value commodity.
Yeah, it was really about, some fighting the kids stuff. And I think there's a few people who like the way that I do business when it comes to MMA and marketing, stuff like that. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm a busy guy, and I love what Bellator represents and what they're doing. They have a ways to go before they catch the UFC. That's for sure. But I'm just an MMA fan.
Ariel, one thing you should know is that this business called The Fighter and the Kid, which has become pretty lucrative, etc. We're selling t-shirts, everything. Yeah. This business is run by one guy. That's Brendan Schaub. It's also strategized by one guy. That's Brendan Schaub. I show up and act like a but he basically handles the social media. He's the strategist, and I've been very, very impressed with what a good businessman he is, and a lot of other people are starting to see what he's been able to do. Not only are they copying what he's doing, but they're trying to sit down and kind of pick his brain and get an idea of how he's done this. And because people want sort of the same results.
Brian, were you at this business meeting as well on Saturday?
I wasn't. I had to play tennis and hang out at the beach.
Now. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead, Brandon.
There was some, because I wasn't quite sure what they were going to bring me in for. And, Phil was the main event, and they fought. And I'm talking to Coker, and the subject of me fighting got brought up.
Oh, wow.
And my out was, I'm under this Zuffa contract. There's just nothing. And the amount of money I would demand would be insane.
Right.
And they didn't even blink. Like, oh, we could figure it out. And then they kept talking. I'm like, no, dude, I'm telling you, you're wasting your time. It's just, I appreciate what you guys do, and I love the sport. But as far as me competing, it'd be tough.
Now, the podcast, Brian, is hosted by Fox Sports. You're under that umbrella, right? Do you ever have, because what I appreciate from you guys, in all honesty, is that you are critical at times of the sport and the UFC in particular. Have you guys ever been told by a higher up, hey, you went a little too far in that regard, you shouldn't say this or that?
Never. Fox has been pretty amazing. I have to say that I've been so impressed with, they gave us money to shoot 12 webisodes.
Yep.
They didn't interfere. We did some pretty outlandish stuff. They didn't interfere even a little bit. They've had so much respect for our expression, and they just let us go. And to their credit, I think they realize that the audience likes two things. One is transparency and humor. And sometimes humor is going to be disturbing or push the envelope a little bit. And I think that's the only way to do it. And especially if you want to do something original or stay surprising, that requires you to be a little risky sometimes and kind of dance on those edges.
The other thing, Ariel, is, Fox doesn't pay our bills. We don't get a check from Fox Sports or Zuffa when it comes to the podcast. So as far as being critical, it'd be tough for them to say, hey, you can't talk about this, or hey, we need you to do this. We give them distribution rights, but Brian and I run the ship and own the Fighter and the Kid.
So why even be under the Fox? Like, Rogan's podcast is Rogan's podcast. He's not with any other company in that regard. Why not just do the whole thing on your own?
Because
we could.
They made it very easy with a studio.
Yeah.
They finance our web series. I mean, they've been really, really easy to work with.
Yeah, they've been great.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, we had no issues.
So I guess it's sort of like an ad type of thing. Like, you split the revenue. Is that how it works?
No, sir.
So what do they get out of it?
Notoriety and 85% of their digital content. I think originally when we went to them, we really didn't have a name. So having that Fox branding kind of made us a little more serious in a world full of podcasts where, some guy can do it out of his garage and call himself a professional. So I think by being with Fox, it was just a brand awareness thing and made us a little more legit than everyone else. But now we're at a stage where I think we benefit mutually from it, and we'll see where it goes.
So you did this 12-episode web series, webisodes, if you want to call it that. It's called The Fighter and the Kid 3D. People can get it. The URL is, what is it? TFATK3D.com, right?
Yeah,
TFATK.
There you go.
TFATK.
TFATK3D.com. There you go.
And fans are loving it. You're selling the T-shirts. You're doing the live touring. You're going to be in New York on Thursday, though it's sold out. No more tickets for that, right?
We'll be at the Wilbur, though, in Boston.
Boston's the big one. The Wilbur in Boston.
That's Friday. Trocadero in Philly is Saturday. So when we sold a lot of tickets already, so I think those tickets are going pretty fast.
Ariel, I heard you might be at the New York show. There's 2 tickets under my name,
VIP.
And they're literally just for you. If you don't come, we're gonna have problems.
I appreciate that very much. But my question is, what's the next step in your opinion? Like, you guys, Brendan, you seem to be a guy thinking 2-3 steps in advance. Do you want a show on television? Do you want, what is the next step here? Because you can't just stay where you're at. right?
No. I think the digital space, we're doing well. Then we'll always, the podcast is the mothership and can never leave that. But literally after we get done with all this PR today, we have a meeting with a big executive, and we're taking a number of meetings. Just the next step for the television would be the next step. And we've had offers, but for us, it's just landing on the right spot.
In a weird
visual experience.
Right. In a weird way, did Bryan kind of save your life in the sense that if you didn't have this, and I'm being serious here, if you didn't have this, you'd be a fighter looking for the next step. You're going to be a gym owner or a coach. Like, what would you do? And like, do you have any idea what you would be like? Does that scare you? Thinking, what would I be doing if I was just Brendan Schaub fighter and didn't meet this guy who gave me this opportunity and the confidence to do this?
Yeah, no, I owe Bryan, the world. And I tell him that on stage from time to time. My life has never been better. I've never been more happy. And, you know how it goes, Ariel. The movie for a lot of these fighters, this movie doesn't end well, man. It's scary. So I'm one of the guys who got out. It's like Shawshank Redemption. I'm Andy Dufresne crawling through all this shit. And then
Joe Rogan just walked in.
Rogan's here.
Wow. That means our fun is done. Finish your thought if you don't mind.
Skyping. Yeah.
Hello, Joe.
What the fuck?
What's up, my man? How are you? I'm doing great. Great to have you on the show, man. Finish your thought if you don't mind.
Yeah, so basically, as a fighter, I feel like Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption. I crawled through all that shit, and this is my Morgan Freeman, man. And so now we're sitting pretty, and it's just you just keep going. I'll forever be grateful to Bryan and Joe Rogan.
Let's cut to the chase. Why did Fox cut you loose? What the fuck is going on, man?
These are the hard questions.
You're not a reporter anymore. What kind of business are they running?
That is a great question, Joe.
You're an excellent reporter, and I'm a fan. 2 thumbs up.
I was going to ask the same thing. So to echo Joe.
Well, you guys are the Fox, the Fox guys. What do you got there? Is that the Joe Rogan strain?
It's the Joe Rogan strain.
I saw that on your Instagram, Joe.
That's drugs, sir.
It's very rare.
Joe, let me ask you, why are you ducking this show? You used to come on the show all the time. You don't want to ever come on anymore.
Busy.
You are.
I'm on it right now.
You've had my uncle Gad Sad on your show multiple times, and you can't even talk to lowly Ariel.
Listen, you can come on my show. I'll come on your show. I don't give a fuck.
We could do a simulcast. I appreciate that. No, I know you guys are going live now, so much
from Fox. It's bullshit.
Well, I appreciate that as well.
Bullshit.
Where were you a month ago when this happened, Joe? I mean, a little late, my friend. I'm out on the streets.
I got kids, bitch.
He just got news. He got fired. I got kids, bitch.
Thanks for sticking up for me. I appreciate it. Wow, how about this?
Yeah, we love you, man. All of us have your back.
Everybody loves you.
Yeah,
well, thank you, guys. Wow, this is. No, I think
Fox doesn't love you, and UFC doesn't, but you'll figure it out.
Well, that doesn't make me feel very good.
What did happen, Ariel? I'm curious.
What's that?
What did happen? Because everybody was pretty outraged.
Well, I know.
You're pretty vanilla when you gave your
you know what, Brendan? I saw your assessment of my thing, and I appreciated your words, but I felt like you were a little bit off there. What vanilla? I said what everyone reported was right. It was there. It was out there. What did everyone?
It's a little creepy where you're not looking at us. Where are you looking?
I'm looking at you right over here.
Handsome devil.
There you are on my screen, but there you go.
We're looking at you. You're not looking at us. You got a shitty setup. Who set your thing up?
Wow, I remember the old days when.
Jamie over there to straighten this out.
Please, I would love it. I keep reading about your amazing millions of downloads, Joe. I need some of your rub. That's why I keep asking you to be on the show. I can't even get a text back, for God's sakes. Did you change your number on me? Oh, okay, fair enough.
He did change his number.
No,
I changed it every 4 months to throw my phone in the ocean.
Well, to answer the question, because I don't shy away, they just got tired of me. They just got tired of me. They didn't want me on. I guess I was annoying some people with some of the questions being asked on this show, and they got tired of me.
The big question was about free agency, right? That was the issue.
I will be 100% honest with you. God is my witness. I have not been told by a single soul what went wrong, honestly.
Oh, we'll find out.
But I will say, people on the inside, such as you, who know the important people, said that they were just getting a little annoyed of the free agency talk, the Bellator talk. But I will say this, and God is my witness as well, I hold no ill will towards UFC. I get it from their perspective. They have a brand to protect. They're like, why are we going to let this guy come on this show and talk about this stuff, and then he's going to be on Fox? My issue was with Fox, who didn't have my back. They could have been like, all right, let's figure this out. He's never been wrong. He's never embarrassed us. He's never gotten the scoop wrong. Let's figure this out, guys. But from my perspective, what happened was the TV deal is up in a couple of years, and they're like, all right, this isn't a fight worth having, so let's get rid of him. And that was it. I got a 2-minute phone call from them to say thank you for your services, and that was it after 4.5 years of working for them. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can't believe it. You know what I love? You're still dropping that breaking news, son. Somehow.
Well, someone's got to do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, you really are an excellent reporter. You're an excellent MMA analyst, and you're very smooth. And I can't imagine why anybody wouldn't want you working for them. I've really always enjoyed your interviews. I think you're fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Joe. That means a lot. From you especially. That means a lot. Let me ask you, are you leaving in August?
Who knows, bitch?
Come on, tell me. You know. You know.
I don't know. I honestly do not know. I have a contract up in August, and I have not made up my mind. I vacillate daily.
If the UFC sells, will you leave?
100%.
You're done.
Yep.
See ya.
I might shave my head and put my resume in.
You want in? You want? Okay. Are they going to sell? Do any of you know?
Stick my hand up his ass and work him like a puppet.
Are they selling?
Sir.
Are they selling? What's the scoop? Are they selling? You don't know? I don't believe you.
There are rumors for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm getting very vague responses. I don't know.
Wow. They're leaving you in the cold? They're leaving you in the dark?
I don't ask a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't ask because when I call them, they want me to do shit, and I just duck.
Why weren't you in Brazil, Joe?
I had my daughter's birthday this week.
I had my son's birthday. That's why we both weren't there.
Hey.
Brendan, how's fatherhood?
The best, man. Amazing.
Yeah?
The kid's a giant. The kid's 2 months old, and the kid cries like this.
Would you?
Huge hands, huge dick.
World Series already is trying to sign him.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
The kid's got a full beard.
Do you want him to be a fighter? Would you want him? Would you advocate this?
No, absolutely not. Never.
What about football player? Because I think that's more dangerous than fighting.
It's not, but and also the juice is worth the squeeze in football. At least you have benefits and and the money's legit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll leave you guys be because I know you're going live, right? You're 5 minutes late.
Listen, we don't give a fuck. We do this whenever we want.
It's
That's
a
how we
beautiful...
roll, man.
All right.
Freedom!
Joe, give us the final word on these two. In a million years, did you think that these two guys would actually be this successful in podcasting? You put out the blueprint how to do this. You're the one kicking ass. But did you ever think that they would be able to find this chemistry and get it done?
100%. Yeah, without a doubt. They're both hilarious, entertaining guys. Look, the world needs more actual, real people that are saying exactly what's on their mind. The world is filled with puppets and robots and people that are trying to follow a script that's already been done before. All right, here we go. Top 40 music coming at you.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing the same shit.
Yeah.
Nobody can be themselves. And if you could just be yourself and two hilarious, awesome dudes, of course it's going to work.
He was always telling me to do this. I mean, Joe's always been podcast. Stop acting. Podcast, stand up. Podcast, stand up. Well, stop being so scattered.
The problem with acting is you would have a bunch of people write things, and then Bryan would give his take on it. But who he is always way better than whatever they wrote.
Right.
So my thoughts were always like, you're so much funnier off camera than you are on camera because unless you write your own shit, they're never gonna find you that way.
Yeah, but I like to be dramatic. I can cry right now.
Cry.
Go.
When I think about you being fired, I can
cry. Cry. Ariel got fired.
But I cry into my hands like a man.
Wow.
I've seen better.
That is
Not
talent,
bad, right?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. All right. Well,
it's more moving if I try to not cry and I go. God.
It looks like you're doing something else.
It looks like you're dropping a deuce. Can you
I cry when I drop.
I'm sorry, man.
Can you guys delay? Can you delay the start of your podcast for another 90 minutes because you're sort of going head to head with mine, which is live as well. If you start yours now, so can we just do something else?
Sorry.
All right. Fair enough.
But you afterwards, right? Like people get downloaded just like you download there.
Yep. iTunes.
That's the beautiful thing about the internet. There's no real competition. It's all just. It's just open.
You just have to have a good product.
Yeah.
People are going to find
it.
It's
It's funny you say that. Sorry to interrupt. Someone came up to me here today and said, why are you having Brendan and Bryan on your show? They're competition. I said, hell no. I'm genuinely happy for you guys. I think the more people in the MMA world that expand out, that's good for me. That's good for the next guy.
I believe that if you look us in the fucking eye.
Sorry. I'm looking at you. Sorry. That's the way. Joe, you know why you're so smart? You're the first person in the history of the show to actually call us out on this setup. And I appreciate that.
It is kind of weird.
You gotta look at people.
Yeah, it is weird.
Off to the left.
Plus, your eyes are incredibly expressive. I get lost.
Yeah, you're way more handsome straight on.
I like you. I like.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, guys. I like to show off my big nose. I'm sorry. All right. Well, this is great.
I mean, you to a cocaine party, my man. I'll tell you that.
Your nose is not big for your face.
That's true. That's what my mom always said.
Look it up.
Adds personality. But now I can't see you, and it's all weird. Now I'm all self-conscious about this. This is great.
If I don't see you in New York, me and you are going to have problems.
We are? That's it? Okay. I will admit I was a little annoyed about how this whole thing went down. You're doing the show. I felt like I was being shoehorned. You didn't really want to do it, even though I was pitched. How much
time we're giving
I know, and so now I feel like we're friends again. It's a great thing.
Yeah, let this insecurity shit go, man. You and I don't even have a problem, and you thought we had a problem.
Well, I thought
he's always like that. He's always like that.
I'm very sensitive. Man. It's the Jewish neuroses in me. You know what I'm saying, Joe?
I
Makes
get
sense.
It. Why, your uncle doesn't have any of that.
No, he doesn't. He is on the complete other spectrum in that regard. That is a different topic for a different day.
Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Though I don't see him as much as I want to because he lives in Montreal, and, well, that's a different story for a different day as well. But thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Congrats on all your success, Joe. Thank you for popping in. That's great of you to do. Brian, you're the man. Very funny guy. Brendan, you're the man as well. You're doing great things. Continued success. TFATK3D.com. You can get the webisodes. You know the fighter and the kid. You can get them on iTunes and all that stuff. And Joe Rogan, he's got 3 months left until he's done with the UFC, so get him while you can.
Easy.
We don't know.
I'm kidding. No, but I will say, way back when, I think it was UFC 100, 106, something like that, you did an interview with me, Joe, backstage. One of my favorite interviews of all time. We were backstage at one of your events. It was in black and white, and you said to all the dumb executives out there, this is the guy and all that, and that meant the world to me back then. So it's something I'll never forget. Even though I felt until this moment that you hated me, that is something I'll never forget and feel like I still owe you for that. So thank you for doing that.
My pleasure, brother.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Have a great show.
Thanks, Ariel.
See you in New York. See you in Boston.
All right, there he is. Brendan Schaub, Bryan, Callen, Joe Rogan. How about that? Wow. So much fun. Great cameos. How about that? The 2 podcasts, the 3 podcasts coming together. Now, don't go watch their show because we're still live, okay? All right, should we do Y'all Must Have Forgot? We got around 40 minutes. Yeah, we should? Nah, I want to talk to my man, New York Rick. New York Rick, how are you?
Sup?
That was fun, right? There's a big echo.
Should be gone now.
Yeah, it's gone. What do you have to say? You're a loyal listener of The Fighter and the Kid and the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah, that was cool. Podcast worlds coming together.
Yeah, how about that? Beautiful thing. Now, as I said at the top of the by the way, my Benson Henderson picture has just died. You see that? Go to the Skype shot. Boom, gone. It was there moments ago. So
rest in peace.
New York Rick pulled the ultimate amateur move, right? I mean, come on, let's be honest. You go on a 2-week vacation. You're feeling good. You're relaxed. You're rested. You're tan. You're tan like an MFer, right?
Yep, sure.
The man bun is just glistening, right?
Yep.
And then you take a red eye. You get to Newark at 6:45 to come to work, completely negating your entire 2-week vacation.
How do you figure that?
Because now you're tired. You're dragging ass. You're hauling ass. You're sick from the air, from the flight. Is that a direct flight from Hawaii?
Yeah. That one was. The Newark one was, yeah.
I mean, you don't sound like yourself. Something else. Did you have a good trip?
It was fun. It was
good honeymoon?
It was good. The first, I'll have you know.
Honestly, it's at least the third, right?
The first.
No. After you got married, and then you had a wedding a year later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I had a honeymoon after that.
No. After the wedding, you had a honeymoon. This one.
No.
Yes, after the wedding, the actual wedding. This is the honeymoon.
Yeah, this is the honeymoon.
But after you got married, you also had a honeymoon.
No, I didn't go anywhere.
You did. Yes, you went to Hawaii the last time you missed this show. But this time you were away for 2 weeks. Last time you were away for 1 week, I believe.
No.
Did you notice, though, how the train just kept moving along seamlessly, no problems? In fact, uploads were up quicker, no tech issues. I mean, it was really 100% well done.
I don't know. That's not what I heard.
What are you talking about? Did you watch the show at least?
I did. You know what? I happened to tune in as soon as the issue with, who was it, getting Overeem or somebody international, kind of international number.
No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
But
did you miss us?
I missed you, but more importantly, did the people miss me? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
Did you
get tweets?
I got some tweets. I mean, you know.
Okay.
Not as many as I would have hoped, maybe.
Let's be honest. You were tweeting up a storm, and you just kind of gave the old one-finger discount to everyone and said, I don't care about you. There's so much going on in the world of MMA. I mean, you should be doing MMA Hours on Fire. So much has happened in the last 2 weeks, and you just leave us high and dry.
Come on, what's really happened? I mean, nothing really happened in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, let's talk about what happened, all right?
Hit me.
Well, not in the last 2 weeks. Let's just talk about let's talk about the sale rumors.
Yep.
So on Tuesday, Darrion of ESPN, highly respected reporter, you know him.
Yep.
Comes out with this news that the UFC is in advanced talks to sell to one of 4 suitors. The next day he comes out and says there's the 3 left, right? And I was told a couple weeks ago that Wanda, this group, Dalian Wanda out of China, was the front runner. Now, what was interesting about all of this was on Tuesday of last week, when the news came out, Dana White went around to some media members and said that this was overblown. The story was overblown. That's all well and good. You expect him to say that. He's not going to break the news right then and there. I heard that they were targeting July. But then the next day, he goes on this media tour, and he talks to Dan Patrick, and he talks to Colin Cowherd, and he talks to Kevin and Bean in LA. And I felt like it was almost a confirmation of the non-confirmation. His non-confirmation was a confirmation that things are actually happening here, that he was telling the world, no, the UFC is not for sale, but oh, by the way, you know, if you give us $4 billion, we're for sale. Well, to me, that means that you're for sale. And he's also saying that, like, if we were in talks with someone, if we were talking to someone about selling a percentage, the whole thing, I wouldn't tell you anyway. To me, it felt like he was telling everyone that we're at the goal line here. Yeah, he was supposed to be talking about 198, but let's be honest, no one was asking him about 198. We're at the goal line here. You better step up or you're going to miss the boat. What do you make of that theory? Did you even know that this story came out?
Oh, stop it. But yeah, I think that's pretty sound. I don't think... do you feel like there are people who don't think it's for sale?
Well, he came out initially and said that the story was overblown and they're not for sale.
Yeah, but as he said himself, he's not going to tell you if it was.
The rumors that the UFC has been for sale have been, to me, it started in 2008. When I first started in this sport, there was a rumor that the UFC was going to come out with a big announcement. Everyone thought that it was either going to be Fox before the Fox deal, and or the WWE. People thought WWE is going to be the one. And then the end result of that big announcement was that Lorenzo Fertitta was leaving Station Casinos and going to work for them full time. That was the end result. And so everyone has been, you know, thinking since there's rumors here, rumors there, but this one feels real. I mean, look what Joe just said, right?
Yeah.
Joe Rogan and Dana White are best buds. Like literal best buds. I felt like what he said or didn't say right then and there was telling as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, the lack of being able to connect the dots between the evaluations and things like that.
Yeah. Something
says it all. Something's going on, and it's smart business to hide it. So, I mean, we're not going to know until we know.
I feel like I have a PhD now in being able to read Dana White's answers. Couldn't see his body language in some of these interviews, but I feel like he was really telling us that you know, look, back in 2011, the Wall Street Journal came out with a story saying that, I remember this vividly, the Wall Street Journal came out with a story saying that the UFC was close to striking a deal with NBC Sports to be its new television partner. This is June of 2011. It was UFC 131 fight week in Vancouver, prior to the JDS Carwin fight. And I remember this is when Dana White was doing those scrums, you know, after the pre-fight press conferences. It's a Thursday, outdoors in Vancouver. And we all started asking him about this. And oh, by the way, part of the story was that they were turning the G4 network into the UFC network. Later, G4 network became the Esquire network. And Dana was denying it. 2 months later, they hold a press conference in LA to announce that they've signed a deal with Fox. And what's interesting about that was, and why this whole situation reminds me of that, is that at this press conference, Dana White said, you know what got this deal done with Fox? The Wall Street Journal story came out about us in talks with NBC, close to a deal with NBC. And Fox heard about this, and they said, wait a minute, we want a part of this UFC thing as well. And that started the negotiations, expedited the negotiations, and made Fox want what they can't have. And that got the deal done with Fox. And this coming out with a reputable reporter and a reputable outlet like ESPN, and then Dana White doing all these interviews saying, no, we're not for sale, but we will be for sale for $4 billion and all this stuff, felt like the exact same thing all over again. No, yes. No, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. Please, the world, let me tell you, we're close here. So if you want something, you better come. Do you get the connection? It felt like carbon copy, the exact same thing.
Well, the question now is, when are we going to find out?
Yeah, the question now. Well, initially, I was told, like right off the bat, when I was told about this a couple weeks ago, and I'm not the type, you know me, I'm not the type to be like, oh, I knew this first, I didn't want to report it. But that's what I was told, that it was going to be in July. Now, who knows if it's partial, if it's full, if that's even the case. This is a massive, massive, massive deal. And at the end of the day, I just don't have contacts in the Goldman Sachs financial world. That's just not my wheelhouse. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I feel like all signs point to something going on. And what does this mean for Dana White? What does this mean for Lorenzo Fertitta? What does this mean for the future of the sport? Do new people come in? Do they move the sport, the organization to China? I mean, I believe if you buy the UFC, you're not saying goodbye to those guys. Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta are part of the fabric of this sport, and certainly of that organization. You're not telling them, hey, Thursday's your last day. If you're buying this thing, you want them around for at least a year. Let's not forget, when Strikeforce was sold, they had Scott Coker stick around for 3 years. Now, most of the time he did nothing, but there are non-competes involved. You want the guys who are close to this thing that built it up to be around. So I don't foresee them leaving anytime soon. But, I mean, does the balance of power change? Who knows? I think it's fascinating. What a story.
Yeah.
So many different. I mean, do you think this will be good for the sport?
Can't know until you see like what the changes that are going to be implemented are. You really at this point we don't really know what the plans are.
All right.
Yeah, it's a strange thing that the UFC may not operate the same way moving forward. Maybe it does though. Maybe they don't want to make changes. Maybe they just want to own it.
I feel like this is the perfect time to buy. There's so many things that could happen in the future. The sport is hotter than ever with Ronda and Conor involved. This is a great time to buy, in my opinion. If I'm someone that wants to get in, and if I'm someone who wants to get out, I mean, they always say, right? They say, excuse me, buy low, sell high. UFC bought this for $2 million. They could be selling this for a few billion.
Well, so no, then they're not selling high. If you're saying it's a good time to buy, it can't also be a good time to sell.
No, it's a weird thing, though. This almost makes sense for both. Because if you have a group coming out of China who wants to get in, I mean, if it's Darrion Wanda, they are trying to buy up these American institutions, theaters, movies, studios, things like that. I mean, the UFC is a hot commodity. It's not a dead, piece of crap. It's not what it was back in 2000. It's not just 3 letters. Not only are you buying those 3 letters and getting those contracts and all that stuff, you're also getting Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey and all these people. And if you're the UFC, you just made a tremendous return on your investment. You get what I mean? It's one of those weird times where I actually feel like it's a good deal for both. You can actually buy a sport in a weird way. You can't do that in any other sport. If you buy the Clippers, you're buying the Clippers, one of 30 teams. Here you're buying like 500 fighters and the best. 99.9% of the talent pool. That's a good deal, in my opinion, especially if you're the richest man in China worth $35 billion. So a story to definitely keep your eye on. But I got to say, last week reminded me, especially that Dan Patrick interview, it really reminded me of that story back in 2011, the NBC story and the Wall Street Journal one. It reminded me of the exact same thing. If someone went up to the Steinbrenners right now and asked them, are you for sale? They'll tell you no. If someone went up to James Dolan right now and said, are the Knicks for sale? He'll tell you no. He's not going to say, yeah, for a price. And I know the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, once said, every man has his price. But there are certain things I think aren't for sale. If someone asked me if my firstborn son, Oliver, is for sale, he is not for sale. You get my point?
But is he for sale?
No, he's not for sale. Not for $4 billion. And that's where the difference is.
5?
No, never. 6 we could talk. Just joking. Okay, do we got some questions?
Yeah, let's do some questions.
All right.
First question. Jacare beats Vitor, and then what? So who faces the winner of Rockhold versus Weidman? Is it Bisping? Is it Jacare? Where does Romero fit into the puzzle? What's the most fair? Actually, I know how you feel about fair. Let's not talk about fair. But who's going to get the title shot?
Bisping. If I'm in charge. A lot of people hated this when I said this on Saturday.
Now, is Jacare's case not the best?
I mean, look.
He beat Romero. Let's not confuse the situation here.
Well,
I don't care what it says on the record. He beat Romero. We all know that.
Okay, body of work. Look, if Anderson beat Bisping, I can almost assure you he was getting the next title shot. So why doesn't Bisping get the same stipulation? And Bisping, in my opinion, sells more. He's been doing it longer. He's the greatest fighter not to get a title shot. He's done enough. Now, you want to keep Jacare on the sidelines? Cool. Why not do Jacare Romero too? Why not just do that fight again and prove once and for all that you can beat Romero? Do Bisping versus the winner. The fight's coming up in 2 weeks. And now we're all squared away. It's perfect. That's what I'd like to see happen.
I feel like Jacare's window is closing. He's not a young fighter.
He is getting a little older, but I mean, he's not slipping. Certainly not in that performance.
No,
right?
he looked great. But then again, Vitor Belfort's not a spring chicken himself. But
sure,
I think middleweight really needs some youth infusion. That's for damn sure.
Come on, it would literally be a crying shame if Michael Bisping does not get a title shot in his career.
He has to get one at some point. So I guess now's the time. If there was ever a time, it's now. But I feel like on paper, Jacare has the best case for sure.
I'm down with that, especially if it's Rockhold. I mean, to be honest, if it's Weidman as well.
If it's Weidman, it's great too. Fight. But Rockhold versus Jacare would be.
I felt like they kind of missed the boat on that one. They probably. I mean, look, he lost to Romero, and that's a crappy situation, and it would have been perfect if he beat Romero. Blah 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 blah. But this is. I mean, Bisping got the win he needed. He got over the hump. He beat the former champ. If Anderson would have won that fight, he would have gotten it. We're almost there. We're 2 weeks away from the fight happening. Give it to Bisping. Bring him in the cage on June 4th in Inglewood, in his adopted home state now. Give the guy the shot, in my opinion, and do Jacare Romero too, and that's it.
Winner gets a title shot?
Sure.
That's what it was supposed to be last time.
Yeah, I know, but then Romero popped.
Yeah. And he didn't. Frustrating.
It's to me, it's cut and dry. And by the way, Jacare just looked fantastic, didn't he?
He always does. He needs a damn title shot.
He didn't look great against Romero.
I thought he beat him pretty soundly.
I thought he won, but it wasn't like it was Corey Anderson Shogun. It's like you could sort of kind of make
think so. It was pretty clear he won 2 rounds there.
But it wasn't that performance. Like he didn't kick his ass. He kicked Vitor's. He left him in like a bloody pulp. I mean, have you ever seen Vitor like that? Getting stopped like that? I think it was the first time.
That's not a common stoppage from Jacare either.
In mount. Jeez.
When he gets to that position, he much prefers to kind of positionally grapple and get a submission. So that was nice to see.
What else we got?
Speaking of title shots.
Yeah.
Damian Maia.
Yeah.
Should he get the next welterweight title shot?
What a crazy thing this welterweight division is, right? Maia.
There's
Woodley, Magny, Thompson, McDonald. I mean, there's so many options out there.
Thompson and McDonald are both contenders, but they're going to knock each other off. So,
yeah, I know, but you can make a very, very good case that the winner of that fight in a month, that's the most impressive win of all.
Oh, I think no doubt whoever wins that should get a shot.
Now, here's the one thing working against Maia: he doesn't have a win over a top 5 guy.
Yeah, I don't know how much I care about that.
But here's the crazy part: since Woodley's last fight, Maia's 4-0 against Ryan LaFleur, who was undefeated at the time.
Solid win. Yep.
Neil Magny,
yep,
who he submitted. Gunnar Nelson, who he thoroughly dominated. And now Matt Brown, who he submitted. 2 submissions, 2 other wins against guys who are on very impressive winning streaks. That's since Woodley's last fight. Now, let's not forget, Woodley got screwed with the Hendricks situation at 192. That's not his fault. He showed up to fight. But, man, that's a tough spot. I've always wanted to see that Woodley-Maia fight. I just think they need to book Robbie Lawler in a fight.
Woodley Maia?
I've wanted to see that fight for a long time as well. Like, make that the number 1 contender. I don't know. They just need... Lawler needs to fight now. Like, these divisions are slowing down because guys just aren't fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And he deserved a break. There's no doubt about that. But think about, like, the logjam now. And in a way, it's a good thing for the UFC. But on the other hand, it's like you got this queue where you're going to disappoint someone. I don't know. They now look like they said on UFC Tonight that it was going to be Woodley, and then they kind of took that away, and Lawler wasn't thrilled about it. And who can blame him? He was in the running for GSP. He was in the running for Conor. He was in the running for Nate Diaz, and then he's left with the bridesmaid card in 201 against Woodley, a teammate. You know, it's kind of a weird situation for him. Part of the same ATT family, at least. So I can understand where he's coming from, but I just feel like they need to book him in a fight to keep this train moving along. I wouldn't be mad at any scenario, to be honest, including Maia getting the title shot. I wouldn't be mad at that. Would you?
I mean, those 4 wins are super impressive.
So you say that he deserves it?
I'd say that the winner of Rory and Wonderboy is the...
So you're going to save Lawler for that? Those guys could go 5 rounds. That means Lawler's not going to fight till like November.
Yeah. Well, so when do you schedule it for and against who?
I liked Lawler versus Woodley at 201 because that's in a couple months, and that's sort of around the same time frame as Thompson and McDonald.
And then you do the winner of that.
Yeah, and then you're screwing Maia.
Now what happens to Maia?
Yeah, it sucks because he beat Magny. That would have been perfect if they didn't fight. Can't ask him to fight Magny again. It's a mess. Look, I really like Maia Woodley. I wish in a perfect world we can see that. But then I don't know what you do with Lawler. Do you then just wait? Do you do Maia Woodley and then you wait for the winner of Wonderboy Thompson, have him fight Wonderboy McDonald, and you have him fight Lawler? Maybe. They just need to do something. I mean, Woodley's sitting on the sidelines, healthy and not doing anything. It's a mess. It's a good problem, but it's a mess.
What do you do with Chris Cyborg? She said in the post-fight interview she wants to defend her Invicta title and fight in the UFC at the same time. Should the UFC let her just do her thing and not pressure her to make 135 with the occasional showcase fight in the UFC from time to time?
I will say that I really respected the way Cyborg handled the whole Invicta situation, showing up to the open workouts with the belt, giving them a shout out in the post-fight interview with Bryan Stan. You know what I mean? I really felt like she handled it well. Like she was giving props to her organization, and as I said earlier, the titles are starting to mean less and less. I feel like Cyborg, by doing that, said, look, this is my belt. This is the 145-pound title in women's MMA. If you want to be considered the best 145-pound women's fighter, this is the belt that you need. She's doing women's MMA a great service by propping up that organization and that title. That being said, there are no options, at least of interest, for her in Invicta. That's just the bottom line. There's nothing of interest for her in Invicta. And so I really felt like she dropped the ball in the post-fight interview. The fight was great. I thought it was stopped a little early. I would have liked it to go a little longer, but I thought that she should have gone on the mic and said, Ronda, I'm here. Where are you? Fight me at 140. Come on. Enough of this. This is the fight everyone wants to see. Holly, I'm here. Where are you? She's got a lot of great options. I mean, the women's bantamweight division has never been more interesting, and I include her in that. So you tell her, look, you can't fight at 135. You can't make that weight. You can fight at 140 all day long. We'll pay you. She is a draw. She is a star. People are interested in her. They're attracted to her as a fighter. So you'll never get that 135-pound title. You'll just fight fun fights. You'll make money. You'll never fight for the belt. You can't. You got to make the weight. But that's no reason not to do Ronda, not to do Holly, not to do Miesha Tate, not to do Amanda Nunes, which is a fight that we've been asking for since the Elite XC days. So that's what I would do. I mean, I think you got to keep her in the UFC. Chris Cyborg fought in front of more people on Saturday night than all her 5 Invicta fights combined. That's staggering. She's a big draw. She's a big deal. She didn't look great at the weigh-ins. Her face was really sucked in. But if she can make that weight at 140, then I say keep her around. The possibilities are endless. I just wish she would have gone on the mic and called out someone and then not gone and let some crony do it on Twitter. What else?
Short version of this one. How do you feel about the stoppage in the Leslie Smith-Cyborg fight?
I just said. I thought it was too soon.
And when compared to Francisco Trinaldo and Yancy Medeiros, did you think that one went too long and one went too short? And do you think that was a male versus female kind of thing?
I don't know. I don't want to sort of speculate, but even the Little Nog Patrick Cummins fight, it looked like it went a beat too long. I don't know. That's MMA. It's inconsistent. You don't want them to go too long. You don't want them to go too short. You feel bad when they go too short because you've worked so long for all that stuff. But I feel the Trinaldo Medeiros fight, I wasn't as bothered. Like the Smith fight, that's a big deal, and I just didn't think that she was 100% out. She took a big risk by taking that fight in Curitiba. I think she deserved a beat longer, and I don't know if it had anything to do with women's MMA or all that.
Here's the question, though.
Yeah.
what really was realistically going to happen there? What are we giving her that extra rope for? What's she going to do in that circumstance? Like, essentially, are we making a useless argument about giving her an extra few seconds to take more punishment? Is she really going to be able to escape that situation? Is there really going to be anything good that comes of that? We say that it was stopped early. Was it really stopped early?
Yeah, I do think it was stopped early. I mean,
but what would happen in that early? What would happen with those extra few seconds?
Look, you never know. Look at Pat Barry and Czech Congo. Crazy things happen in the sport.
No, it's not the same.
Are we delaying the inevitable by letting it go? Yes. But Leslie Smith deserves that benefit. She deserves it. That was her moment. She deserves it.
I guess.
Gun to my head, do I think the fight was going to be stopped a couple seconds later? Sure. And is he doing her a favor by stopping it? You can make that case. But to me, the fight should be stopped when it's stopped, not when you think it's going to be stopped in 5 seconds. Now you're like, all right, this thing is going to end soon. Like, they're not being paid to guess when it's going to end. It was stopped a little early, in my opinion. That's all.
I guess. I get uncomfortable with this because...
It wasn't egregious. It wasn't like the worst one ever. I just thought it was a beat too early.
We make the case about preserving fighters, and then we're like, well, they deserve an extra few seconds of essentially beating. Chris Cyborg was just going to beat her up for another few seconds. It's not really anything that we should be advocating for. But I guess, you can make the case that anything can happen, but I don't think that that's true.
Right.
Will we ever see a women's 145-pound division in the UFC?
No, there's not enough. There's not enough fighters. There's not enough good fighters. Just ask Shannon Knapp. There's just not enough fighters. I think the scenario that they have now with Cyborg is fine. She doesn't get to fight for Bellator. She fights at 140, and she gets big fights there. She is a legit draw. People care about her. Just do that.
Pat Cummins, what's in his future? This person is asking, in matchmaking terms, was Cummins expected to lose to Lil Nog? No, I believe he was the favorite. And
that was a bad loss.
Is he looking at a potential cut from the UFC?
Bad loss. I like Patrick Cummins, but I just don't think that the striking has evolved enough, and he's been knocked out a couple times here. I just don't know. I think it might be in his best interest. Like, I think he would thrive in a World Series of Fighting light heavyweight division, in a Bellator light heavyweight division. I don't know who wins between him and Phil Davis. But the point is, I just don't think that he's evolved enough. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, especially when you consider the fact that he kind of came in through the back door. That wasn't a Joe Silva signing. That was sort of a last-minute Dana White putting him on the card to save the Daniel Cormier fight in his light heavyweight debut, UFC 170. So I wouldn't be surprised if they ask him to go pick up a couple other wins. Light heavyweight is very, very shallow, but those are some tough losses. And I think they pushed him rather quickly. He fought Glover Teixeira in his last fight. He's always fighting big names, and he's also fighting in Brazil all the time. Maybe he deserves one more in America against a newer name. The problem is at light heavyweight there aren't a lot of names out there.
Yeah.
My bigger issue is, cut or not, I'd like to see his striking evolve a little more, and he keeps having trouble with that. If the wrestling isn't there, he's getting caught on the feet. Did
Will Brooks hurt his value by agreeing to be released early, or by actually asking to be released early?
That is a great question. I think he loses leverage by that happening, and I think that's why they got rid of him. I think they got rid of him because he spoke up a little too much, and he was a pain in their ass. And they're just like, look, let's just do Michael. He's not a needle mover in their eyes. I think they're hurting themselves by doing this. I think you need to figure out how to keep your champions around, keep them happy, and make those belts important. Do you agree with me that in 2016, belts have never meant less?
I do.
And I think that's a problem. Like, that's always been the cool thing about MMA. Like, boxing, I love when there's a big boxing match and they go, and new, and you still don't know what that means. You still don't know who they're talking about because no one even knows who the champion is. No one wanted to see Mayweather-Pacquiao fight to see, Mayweather get another title. They just wanted to see them fight. And I feel like that's what's being done here in the UFC. Guys getting title shots off losses, interim titles, Bellator releasing champions. And the state of belts in MMA, regardless of division, has never been weaker. And I think that it's bad form to release your champion, to part ways with him, and then to strip your heavyweight champion who hasn't fought in 2 years. That's just not good. You got to figure it out. It's not about scrubbing it clean and just picking a guy that you want to be champion and doing everything that you can to get him in that position to become champion. It's about it has to be a little bit of sport involved, right? There has to be some sort of, road to a title and then having a guy stick around. If that was the case, and it's a stupid comparison, but like the Miami Heat would be in the Eastern Conference Final. It's almost like you're trying to play pro wrestling here.
Wait a minute. Speaking of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes.
Let's talk about this a little bit.
This is when you perk up?
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about my Cavaliers.
Yeah, your Cavaliers.
Your Toronto Raptors. Well, first of all,
yes.
You don't get to don't question me when you're bandwagoning the Raptors.
Wait. First of all, I've never said that the Raptors were my team. I've just said that, look, for the state of Canadian basketball, it's important that they go far, because there's no such thing as Tristan Thompson on your team. There's no such thing as Andrew Wiggins, who was supposed to be on your team until they made that stupid trade.
Wait a minute, stupid trade?
Horrible trade. You're telling me that that's not one of the worst trades of all time?
It's looking good right now.
Yeah, right now. What's it going to mean in 3 years when Wiggins is killing it on the Western Conference champions?
If they win Western Conference champions,
yes,
please.
Minnesota Timberwolves led by Tibbs, Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins, Ricky Rubio, the rookie of the year, Karl Anthony Towns. You call him Anthony Towns, like your boys?
Rookie of the year, by the way, who did not come from the Knicks.
That's fine. We don't need that. Got enough accolades.
So tell me about the Toronto Raptors.
We don't have time for this. We got Darrion Caldwell coming up in 11 minutes.
Oh, all of a sudden.
Well, things went a little long. We'll talk about this. You want to propose a bet? Is that what's happening here?
You told me.
Yes.
Excuse me. This is just too funny. You told me before the show that the Raptors were not only not going to get swept, they were going to beat the Cavaliers in 6 games.
I think so.
That's what you told me.
That's 6 or 7. Lowry's got his groove back. It's great.
Yeah, I would bet anything that does not happen.
The guys in the NBA offices in Park Avenue are just livid at the thought of the Raptors being in the conference finals, and we're going to play spoiler. That's right, I said it. We're going to play spoiler. We're going to go to the conference finals.
See, now you before you say you're not on the bandwagon, they're not your team. Now all of a sudden it's
my country. That's the difference. It's my country. Do you understand what this means? This is nationalism. This is pride. This is patriotism. You understand what that means? You guys don't get that. That's what this is.
This is
a big deal.
A disgrace.
Corey Joseph, Toronto's own. Tristan Thompson is Canada's own.
That series was awful. The Raptors and the Heat. Awful.
I disagree.
Terrible basketball.
3 overtimes, a half-court shot to send it into overtime.
It was terrible. Terrible
basketball. You were on the beach. It was like 3 p.m. when those games were going on.
Yeah, it was nice. It was actually really nice to be 6 hours behind.
Yeah, I bet.
Because then everything happens in the midday, the morning. You kind of have the rest of your evening to do stuff.
Yeah, well, why don't you just move there, all right?
Oh, my God. Don't give my wife any ideas.
Okay, what else we got? It's not a basketball podcast. Although I'd love to go ham on that brawl between the Rangers and the Blue Jays. I mean, the idiots that were tweeting me yesterday, almost ruining my day. I mean, you dummies. I mean, who are these people tweeting about that? This was called for. This guy, he punches, cold cocks Jose Bautista in the face because he flipped his bat. And don't give me this sliding nonsense. They beaned him in the last at-bat of the last series of the season. They beat him like cowards, gutless cowards. And then they're going to get all upset because of a hard slide into second base that has been legal for the last century in baseball? Give me a break. What a joke. The guy tried to throw the ball at his head. Joke. Anyway.
Tell us how you really feel.
I mean, these people were invading my Twitter space. I was just commenting on the gutless act that was that punch to the face, that right hand to the face. And then you have people being like, oh, yeah, that was warranted. What? I mean, a hard slide is a hard slide. Close, one-run game. In what rule book, baseball rule book, is it allowed to punch someone in the face? Ridiculous. Anyways, what else we got?
2016 Hall of Fame.
Yes.
We know Big Nog's going in.
Mm-hmm.
He's the first one for 2016. Who else would you like to see this year?
It's a great question. Kevin Randleman would be nice.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right?
Well, you got to think in terms of the wings. So Big Nog is pioneer because he fought pre-2000s. You could do... No, wait. Big Noggin Randleman, I think, are the same thing. Because you got Pioneer.
But do we? I don't know if they have to stick to that.
Yeah, they do. They do. Trust me. I know the guy behind the whole thing. He's very adamant about sticking to it.
Okay.
You need a contributor. Mark Ratner would be great, especially in New York. The year New York got done.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that guy freaking got this whole thing legalized in every state. I have to think about it. But I'll say this. I like the way that they did it. They had the package. It was very WWE-esque. I really like the way that they did it. Have you been following this Mayweather and McGregor nonsense?
We happen to have a question about that.
Well, what the hell is the question? Because Mayweather goes on Showtime and starts acting like, oh, I'm talking to...
I'll read you the question.
It's just ridiculous.
The talk of a Mayweather-McGregor fight seems to be gathering momentum rather than going away. Two questions. Is Mayweather serious about making a fight or just trying to keep himself in the spotlight? So let's go with that first.
Yes, I think he is. It's weird that he's really sticking to his guns on this one. And I guess maybe he's trying to not be involved in the whole Triple G talk or wants nothing to do with anyone else in boxing. But it's just strange to hear the boxing guy talk about. I mean, the whole thing is so bizarre. And then you got someone pranking Freddie Roach and saying that McGregor called him out. I mean, McGregor is the guy who said he'd never leave his team, and now he's going to go leave his team. He talks about Owen Roddy as a striking coach all the time. He's going to go train with Freddie Roach. I mean, are you people dumb? What is going on here? And then the initial report says 100 million euros for Mayweather and 7 for Conor. Do you really think in a million years that he would accept those terms? And then every time Mayweather says something, everyone's like, "You see what he said? Did you see? Did you see?"
Who?
So annoying.
Who was that an impression of? That was pretty good.
It's just the voices in my mind every time this happens. Like I woke up Saturday morning, Mayweather shows up on Showtime and he starts with that shirt. What was he wearing? He's wearing this yellow shirt, the Ralph Lauren, like the oversized horse, which I always thought was weird. It's like the horse is fine when it's small. Why do you have to make it so big? Buttoned up all the way, yellow on TV, like he just came out of, I don't know what he came out of, talking about McGregor. It's bizarre.
Okay, part 2 of that question.
Yes.
Is it in the UFC's interest to make that fight happen or to be promoters on that?
Well, if they could do it in the UFC, 100%, it would be gigantic.
But it seems like the talk is of it being a boxing fight, no? I mean, I think it's ridiculous altogether.
Yes.
But when they do talk about it, they seem to be talking about a boxing fight.
Yeah, but here's the point. The point is, he's a UFC fighter. They're not going to go let him fight in boxing.
No, of course not. That's why it'll never happen.
And also, his manager, his coaches, John Kavanagh, very smart guy, Adi Attar, very smart manager. Why would they let him fight in boxing? That's a horrible situation for him. You know? And so if they let him come to MMA, then yeah, the UFC is going to make money off of that. Then they're all in. You really think that Mayweather's going to split the pie with them? Come on, it's not going to happen. I don't want to see it happen. To be honest, I really don't. I want to see McGregor fight in MMA. I want to see him fight the winner of, I guess, Edgar Aldo. What do you think of this whole BJ Penn situation, putting him on prelims? I wanted to ask Brendan about that because he was all up in arms about this last week. He's like, oh, this is a disgrace to BJ. And I'm like, and we had a whole debate.
Haven't we, gone through this already? Like, haven't we already addressed this?
Him being on the prelims, though. Because I said on the MMA Beat last week that the 3 most desired spots right now, if you're a UFC fighter, since there are no sponsorships, are main event of the pay-per-view. Obviously, people missed that point last week. Obviously, you want to be the main event of the whole damn show. And then you want to be the FS1 prelim headliner, because if you watch the MLB on Fox, if you watch Fox during the week, FS1, all that stuff, they're pushing that fight more than their main event. They're pushing that as the real main event of the card. They're pretending like it's its own card. And then you want to be the headliner of the Fight Pass prelims, because they're pushing that more than anything the UFC is. It's crazy. People didn't get my point. So if I'm BJ Penn, if you're not making more money being the first fight on pay-per-view than being the Fight Pass prelim fighting on free television, or at least cable television, just stay on the cable TV portion. The stigma of not being on pay-per-view is not the same as it was, 5 years ago. And so I was surprised that a smart guy like Brendan would have that take.
I get it. I understand. There is prestige still to it. But yeah, I mean, the quote-unquote headline for all the different tiers gets a lot of promotion, so it makes perfect sense.
And now you're not getting and also I firmly believe that more people are watching the FS1 prelims than some of these pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers are there. And you can hypothesize that 300K pay-per-views equals 600K or 700K viewers, but the numbers just aren't there. And yeah, the Nielsen ratings are, I think, very flawed, but we got to go with the numbers that we're given. And I think that a lot of these, I'm curious to see what 198 does. Tremendous card, but did it really, quote unquote, move the needle in the United States? I'm not sure about that. How do you feel about Cole Miller over Dennis Seaver? I think it's a tougher fight for BJ.
Do you? I don't know.
I really do. Longer guy, taller guy, better off his back, better jiu-jitsu. I don't know. I don't think Cole Miller's done by any stretch. I felt like Dennis was really on the way down.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really comes down to BJ more so than anything else. Like, that last performance was not good and not something you want to see again. So I think it's more to see what he's got left than anything that Seaver or Miller has left.
Yeah, but would you agree that Seaver was the better option of the two for him?
Maybe, maybe not. I'm not so sure. I mean, I don't know. I think that it's impossible to say because it's hard to gauge where BJ's really at. That last performance, like, how can you even rank him or put him anywhere? It's very tough.
Yeah. All right.
Because Frankie Edgar's is legit. Frankie Edgar's amazing, and BJ Penn's not at that level anymore. So it's hard to kind of say where he's at.
I just think matchup wise, one guy being a lot taller, better, all those things I mentioned. I felt better about the Seaver fight. Not saying that I don't feel good, but I don't know. Cole Miller's younger. I don't know. This is a big opportunity. This is the Conor McGregor fight that he didn't get in a weird way. Remember, he was supposed to headline that show against Conor back in Dublin. All right, you can go call Little DC, Darrion Caldwell.
Little DC.
Little known fact, Darrion Caldwell has actually been on this show before. I don't know if you knew this. When Bobby Green made that appearance with his whole crew, his family, his familia, he was actually on the program. He was part of the crew. Darrion Caldwell, one of the very best bantamweights in the world, will be joining us in a matter of moments. He has some news to break of his own. So let's stay tuned for that. And then after that, we'll be joined by Bryan Barberena, the owner of said lunchbox right over there. Actually, he's not the owner, but he's the one who's being immortalized on said lunchbox over there. A couple other notes from Dana White last week. He said that he'll be meeting with Conor McGregor this week. No one asked him where, how, under what circumstances, but he did say in multiple interviews last week that he'll be meeting with Conor McGregor this week to sort of get over that speed bump and to, patch things up. So that's promising news. Dan Patrick pressed him on whether or not he'll be fighting at UFC 202, Conor, against Nate Diaz. And Dana said that he liked the idea, and I believe that's August 20th, but he wasn't going to commit to anything at this time because he hadn't really talked to him about it. Also, when he was asked about Ronda Rousey's future and whether she'll be fighting this year and if there's a chance she won't fight this year, I thought his response was really interesting. He kind of sighed and said, she deserves a break and it's up to her. Didn't come out and say, she's locked in for November 12th. And it is a little early. Let's not forget. It is 6 months away. But, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't fight. I don't think that's the craziest thing in the world. Speaking of that women's division, Kat Zingano joining up with Alliance MMA in Chula Vista, California. I think that's very interesting as well. Considering that she had been with that Elevation Fight team out of Colorado and the whole Muscle Farm deal, she's teaming up at least for this one fight camp only. Remember, she's fighting Juliana Pena at UFC 200. A very important fight in that division. For this fight camp only, I was told that she's going to try it out. Alliance has had a lot of success with the women's fighters these days. Beck Rawlings was there. Jessica Penne was there. A bunch of them have been there. I like that move. No knock on what's going on at Elevation Fight Team, but I have a lot of respect for Eric Del Fiero, and they've got a lot of things going on as well. Of course, Dominic Cruz, another DC, will be defending his title June 4th. Okay, speaking of DCs in the bantamweight division, how about that transition? Let's go to the Skype machine and welcome in Darrion Caldwell. There he is, joining us.
Yo.
What's up, Darrion?
What's up, Ariel?
Where are you right now?
I'm in Phoenix right now. I'm in the office right now. I'm in Arizona.
Okay, so I was telling people that it's a little known fact. You've been on this show before. You kind of crashed our party one time with your boy Bobby Green, right?
You know how it go, man.
Are you still training with those guys?
Not right now.
Oh.
I'm out in Arizona. Bobby's out in California. I haven't been in California in like 6 months, but that's my squad. Those are my guys out there. When I get the opportunity, I'm gonna head back out that way and get some training in with Bobby. And I know he's got a big fight coming up, so I'll let him do his thing.
What a scene that was. You guys came in, you rolled in like 6, 7 deep. You were sitting there with the hair and all that, and it would have been something else if then you parted ways with them, because you seem like a very tight-knit team over there. And now here you are in Phoenix. Where are you? Which team are you with there?
Well, right now I'm over at Power MMA. This is the team I initially started my career with.
Yeah.
And then personally, I'm a firm believer in you can't learn everything in one spot. I would be lying if I said I went through Rahway grade school wrestling, then I went through Rahway high school wrestling, then I went to North Carolina State wrestling, then I went to Power MMA, and that's how I'm the athlete I am today. That's definitely not the fact. I've been through a lot of different coaches and styles and clubs throughout my lifetime, in terms of competing. So I'm a firm believer in I'm not going to learn everything in one spot. So it's up to me to be able to get out and learn from as many people as I can. So.
How many fights have you had in Bellator? Like 5 or so?
Yeah, I'm 6-0 in Bellator.
6-0. How many times do you think you've actually been punched in the face in your last couple of fights? Like is it like 7, a crazy number like that?
I ain't been hit yet in a fight, so let's hope we keep it like that.
Look at that face. I mean, there's not a single mark on it. It's unbelievable.
Man, I'm trying to keep the wolf pretty face up to par, man.
What's going on with the hair?
Man, I'm still figuring out what I'm doing with it, but best believe something crazy, something cool, something sweet about to happen with this bad boy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Okay. So I'm told that you have some news to break. The floor is yours. What do you got? What's the big news?
Man, so since my last fight, it's been a lot going on. Few offers on the table, but Bellator has been nothing but good to me. They seen my talent early on in my career, and they came after me. And right now I'm here. I got some papers in front of me.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Check him out. This paper is one. This paper is the other.
Oh.
I'm here to let everyone know I'm going to continue my talents at Bellator MMA.
Oh, look at that. So
right now.
Oh, you're signing it.
Opportunity.
Okay.
And sign away.
Go ahead. You're actually signing it. Did you read that thing first?
Yeah, I read through this thing very thoroughly. Me and my manager, Dave Martin, he's done a great job for me. So after putting the pieces together, Bellator jumping on board, it's time to go ahead and get married, man. It is what it is. You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you. Okay.
I'm in it for the long run.
Okay, so were you a free agent? Did your contract expire as you sign away? Look at this. This is a first on the MMA. I mean, we've had people come on and announce that they've signed new deals. No one's actually signed the deal in front of us. I appreciate that.
There it is, baby.
There's the John Hancock. Okay,
that's the John Hancock.
Can you scroll up so we see the terms? Like, how much money are we talking here?
That's something you can't see, baby. But just know Bellator is taking good care of me. They take great care of their athletes. I couldn't be any happier right now. I don't walk around with a smile on my face, but I've been smiling ear to ear all week. And so Bellator has done a great job with me, and just believing in what they had in mind and their plan for me. That was the biggest thing. You gotta. It's bigger than me. I know they have a vision, even though I have a vision as well. My vision is to be the world champ. They have a vision on how to put me in a position to make sure I maximize everything outside of the octagon, outside of the cage, you know. And so I feel like we touched on a lot of subjects there, and so I think we got a star in the making. I've always been a star, but it's just been about getting on that platform, you know. And Bellator's giving me that opportunity.
Wait a second.
I don't think any.
What, you don't think what?
My bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I interrupt you.
I was just about to ramble with these things. I don't think any 35-pounder can see me. You feel me? Whether it's the UFC, Bellator, anywhere in the world, there's not a 35-pounder that can beat me, Ariel. So for Bellator to give me a chance to go ahead and do this thing long term, to be a world champ, it's just a blessing.
So did your contract expire?
No, I still had one left, but you know, I could have fought that out when I went ahead and beat up on Guilherme, but you know, I don't want to be anywhere else. I want to be here at Bellator, you know, under that banner. I got it. It's since I stepped foot in that cage, it's been my dream to get my picture hung up on those banners, you know, the 7 guys, you know, and until I'm up there, you know, my job is not done. And even when I'm there, you know, I got a lot of work to do, you know.
So I appreciate that very much, and I think it's a great signing on their part. It makes all the sense in the world. You are truly one of their up and coming best stars. But are you still there? You're still there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
But at some point, you weren't thinking like, man, I'd like to beat Dominic Cruz. I'd like to beat Uriah Faber. I'd like to beat Aljamain. You must have thought that at some point, right?
Yeah, I thought of it, but I know I can beat those guys, you know. And hopefully, you know, one day I'll get a chance to see them. Maybe they'll come over to Bellator one day. They'll realize the grass is green on the other side over here. But when we talk about those guys, they're not really a concern. I know if our paths cross, they'll get dealt with accordingly. So it's my job to just go under the Bellator banner and win fights and do it in devastating fashion.
How many fights did you sign for?
I'm signed for 7 fights.
Damn, 7 fights. All right, they really like you.
7 fights. They love me, and I love them back. You feel me? So it was no choice. There was no other choice but to go ahead and get married. You feel me?
Yeah. Well, once you put it in those terms, I mean, you got to love each other if you get married. Now, you're 6-0 in Bellator. You're virtually, you know, unhittable there. Are they giving you a title shot? Is your next fight going to be for the belt?
That's something that's still in the making. We got to see.
Come on.
Obviously, the title fight's already been announced. You know, and I don't want to stay idle. You know, I'm young. I'm in a prime. Just barely hit my prime. So if it's one thing I want to do is get as many fights as I can. You know, and so if that means fighting this summer before a title fight, you know, I'm all for it. Regardless of who I fight, you know, I'm gonna get my hand raised, and it's gonna move me to the belt. So I'll take it how I can get it. You know, I just want to fight. You know.
Who are some of the names that interest you if it's not for the belt right now in that division?
Well, I know Joe Tremaglia. He's got some good wins under his belt recently. We fought on the same card. I know LC Davis. He's good. He's coming off a loss, but it sucks. Can't throw Mike Richmond. That would have been a cool fight. But there's some studs at 35 in Bellator. I feel like whoever they throw at me is going to be a challenge. But it's going to be another stepping stone to get where I need to be.
Is it fair to say, though, that in 2016 you will fight for the belt?
Very much, very, 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 very possible.
Okay.
That's very, very, very possible.
Any truth to the rumor that in this new contract of yours that you just signed live on the MMA Hour in front of the world, that there's a clause in there which states that you cannot do any more backflips? Every time you backflip, something wrong happens, whether it's in wrestling, whether it's in MMA. I mean, you're knocking over cameramen and stuff, or camera woman.
Yeah, man.
What's going on with these backflips, man? You got a great career.
I love when it comes to backflips, man. I don't know. The backflip god don't like me. I don't know what it is, but I've been doing backflips since I was a kid. Yeah. So I'm gonna continue to do backflips. That's something that's gonna be seen around the world. Whether I knock out camera ladies doing it or whatever, it's gonna continue to happen.
Did that lady get hurt when you hit her?
I think she might have banged her shoulder up a little bit.
Oh man!
I ain't mean to do it. Or like next time she in a way, make sure like she that second eye can't be closed. If you're gonna be like this, running up on me, I mean, at least have that other eye open so you can see a bigger picture. Like, oh, this guy about to jump on my neck. Like,
right.
But she did a good job. You know, she did her job, and yeah, she's in her profession. I'm in my profession, and sometimes you just gotta be a little bit more cautious of where you're going.
Now you said you had 2 pieces of paper there. What was the other one?
That's confidential.
What? You can't do that. You can't bring out 2 pieces of paper and tell us the other one. What was that? Is that a blank piece of paper? Were you just doing that for the effect?
That's a blankie right there, man. I just shot a blank at your toes.
Okay, I don't want to put you in a tough spot here, but honest question. I have said on this show that in the last 2 years, you can make the case that like you, MVP, like these are homegrown Bellator talents that they've sort of built up. They brought them in when no one was talking about them, and giving you guys a chance to shine. You're both very close to title shots. But then you have this other Bellator that's putting on these crazy fights like Kimbo versus Dada 5000 and Ken and Hoist. How do you feel about this? Do you wish that they went all in, like Phil versus King Mo, and fights like you and MVP and other fights like that? Even like when Will Brooks was fighting, the Koreshkov, Benson Henderson, things like that. Or do you get why they have to do the other stuff as well?
I like the direction that they're taking. Being able to put guys like Kimbo, Hoist Gracie, and then the following weekend put a guy like me who's a little under the radar but has the potential. It doesn't do anything but bring fans. More fans we can bring to the organization, the better. And if that's the way to go, then why not? I want to see those guys fight personally. I'd like to see Vanderlei jump back in the cage. I like to see. Shoot, me personally, I'd go watch the Kimbo versus Dada 5000 rematch if it was up to me.
Oh, come on.
But I'd watch it again. You would too.
I don't know about that.
Just to see if somebody get knocked out, what they do is they put their future stars in a position, to expand by putting those stars now in the spotlight and following it up right behind. You get what I'm saying? We're following right behind them, so it's not too much of a turnaround. You're going to watch Bellator one weekend, you're going to probably watch it the following weekend, So I think they're doing a good job of putting guys like myself and Michael Page on platforms for the world to see that we're the next thing in MMA.
Did you hear this news that Brooks is no longer the champion, Minikov is no longer the champion? What do you make of this?
Yeah, I seen the news. It is what it is. You gotta, again, nobody's bigger than the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's when you start thinking that you deserve this and you deserve that, then things start to backfire. The best thing to do. Well, at least this is what I've been programmed to do, and I've been very serious about just keeping my head down and moving forward, not complaining so much, because nobody wants to see you complain. They want to see you fight. They want to see you knock fools out. They want to see you finish guys, They want to see you do backflips off the cage. They don't want to hear you rant on Twitter, So
fair enough. I see you rocking the Bad Boy hat over there. Bad Boy rash guard, I think that is.
Yes.
Is that obviously you're sponsored by Bad Boy, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, man. They just locked your boy down, man.
Wow, look at you.
They put me in the squad. So we working out here, Harry. We working, baby.
Man, you're killing it over there. You're just rolling in the dough. I'm wondering if that's a big, that was a big reason why you decided to sign with Bellator, so you can keep sponsors like Bad Boy, because you can be signed by Bad Boy if you're in the UFC, but you can't wear them in the cage.
Yeah. Well, that again, Bellator is an organization for the fighters.
Okay.
And so anytime, you're getting locked into something, which the Reebok deal, I feel like locks you into a clause where if I was more marketable and I can go expand, why not? Why can't I go expand my brand and make more money? I shouldn't be boxed into what it says here when I can go make money somewhere else, And so I feel like Bellator is an organization for the fighters where they're letting guys, be able to market themselves outside of the cage and pick up some extra cash outside of the cage.
In your opinion, right now, May of 2016, who's the best bantamweight in the world?
Darrion Caldwell.
Yeah. You think so?
Without a doubt.
So you think that if you fight Dominic Cruz tomorrow, June 4th, easy money?
Well, here's the thing. I like Dom, so I'm not gonna go out there. I'm not gonna go out there. But again, I'm the best 135 pounder in the world, and I'm gonna continue to prove it. Within the next 2 years, it's not gonna be a debate. You know.
Wow, that is, I got to say, I like the confidence. When are you gonna come back to New Jersey and work on your craft across the river?
You in Jersey?
No, we're in New York.
Jersey?
We're in New York right now, but we're pretty damn close to New Jersey.
Oh man, I might have to come mess with y'all out there, dog.
Yeah, you were supposed to come in
You already
studio,
know,
I was
man.
told. What happened? I would love to have, this is my
Man.
dream. You, Bobby Green, in studio, we just talk it out.
That'll be some crazy shit right there, man. That'll be a good time, though. I'll tell you that.
Are you going to help him prepare for Poirier?
Right now, he's doing his thing out there. I've been out here getting things together, you know.
Okay.
But I think Bobby's gonna do really well. He's training hard. He's really focused right now. You know, it's a side of Bobby that not a lot of people get to see. And when you see that side of Bobby, it's a scary thing.
I like Bobby. He's a great character. I'm
do
happy
too.
he's back. Everything's going well for him. I look forward to that fight. Okay, so when do you think that you'll fight? When's your first fight on this contract?
I want to fight this summer.
Okay.
Again, I don't want to stay idle. Hopefully, I can fight this summer, and keep this ball rolling like every 2 or 3 months, if I had to say so. But again, obviously, Bellator's got its plans for me. I'll just play by word of mouth, and whenever the opportunity presents itself, I'll be ready.
All right, there he is, the Wolf, Darrion Caldwell.
Gang, gang.
Back with Bellator, signing a new contract, 7-fight deal right here on the MMA Hour. I appreciate you doing this on the show, my man. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations on the new deal, and I look forward to your next fight with Bellator, and then I hope that they give you the title shot, because I think that they're a little slow on this one. We got to get things going here, all right?
The Wolf need that title shot, baby.
Thanks, man.
Hey,
I appreciate
salute.
it. Yes, same to you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Scott Coker.
Yes.
Rich Chow, we in there, baby.
Yes, much respect to those guys. Great signing by them. One of their up-and-coming stars, young, hungry, ready to rock and roll. Just 28 years old, from Rahway, New Jersey. Great signing in their bantamweight division. So congratulations to Bellator. Congratulations to Mr. Caldwell. Appreciate them coming on the program here to announce that news. I wonder, was it really a blank piece of paper there? I wonder. One of those things we'll just never know. Okay, right now, last guest of the day. And dare I say, we have saved the best for last, my friends. What a moment it was. Saturday night, Curitiba, Brazil. 45,000 Brazilians. Everyone and their mama, including myself, thought, what is going on here? Beat Sage Northcutt on Fox, and they're giving you Warley Alves in Brazil, no less? How can they do this to Bam Bam? What does he do? Walks in there, in that soccer stadium, defends the guillotine like 30 seconds in, takes some big shots, keeps on coming, picks up a big win. Forget about Bam Bam. This man is the prospect killer. Bryan Barberena is joining us on the phone right now. Bryan, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Ariel. Thanks for having me on.
It is a pleasure, my friend, and I really appreciate it because I know that you just got back home. You made the long journey home. How long was that trip for you, back home to the Phoenix area?
Yeah, I think it was a total of like 21 and a half hours.
Oh, my.
Like that.
How many flights?
3.
3. So what'd you do, Curitiba to Rio or Sao Paulo?
Sao Paulo, yeah. And then from there to Dallas, and then Dallas to Phoenix.
Are you exhausted right now?
Yeah, I'm pretty tired, but I'm trying to stay up and spend time with my family and my kids and definitely try to get back on the normal sleep schedule and everything.
What did you do on the plane to pass the time?
Thank goodness they had some movies. I slept some and paid for some Wi-Fi so I can talk to my wife and stuff.
So the family didn't make the trip with you?
No, just my wife came out. She got their weigh-ins and stayed for the fight and left shortly after the whole card was finished.
Oh, wow. So you stayed an extra day?
No, we left Sunday, and she left Sunday in the morning at like 4, and we left Sunday afternoon at like 6.
Why not just fly with her?
The UFC bought my tickets. I offered to get hers booked with mine too, and she's like, "Oh, I can find some cheaper ones and get home to the kids faster," because the UFC wouldn't book mine early in the morning just in case of
okay,
the show ran late or something.
Yep, I understand. How many kids do you have?
I have 3. Yeah.
You have 3 kids, and I like how on the broadcast they were talking. Brian Stan was talking about how you got the dad bod. Like you might not be the most, right off the bat, like, wow, look at that physique, like, say, Sage Northcutt. But holy moly, do you have a chin on you, my man? I mean, it's unbelievable. That flight must be so much better, 21 hours, when you're coming off a win like that, right? I mean, it sucks.
Absolutely.
But it's still pretty sweet. I mean, you're on top of the world right now, right?
Absolutely. That flight is a hell of a lot better when you got to win. Without that, that would have been a sad trip home. But that's the reason I went out there, man. I knew I was going to come back with that win, so
okay.
I was willing to make the trip.
So let's start from the beginning here. When this is announced after the Sage Northcutt fight, we were all thinking like, man, this is a tough draw. You just beat Sage on Fox. You'd imagine the UFC is a little annoyed about this, and they give him Warlley Alves. Were you thinking that way too, or did you think like, oh man, I got this? Brazil, Alves, prospect again, undefeated. This is perfect for me. What was your initial reaction when they offered it to you?
All right, cool. Let's go. Sucks that it's in Brazil because I have to fly right out there, but you know what? I'm going to go out there and we'll get this win. It doesn't matter who they put in front of me. Everybody's going to be a tough test. It's the UFC, the top, the NFL fighting, so everybody's going to be tough. So why not fight them right now?
So you didn't think that they were putting you in a tough spot? You didn't think that they were sort of setting you up like the narrative was?
No, I don't. It didn't matter. Even if they were, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I believe in myself, but I don't think they were setting me up or whatever.
Now, how much did you know about Alves? Like, were you impressed with the guy?
I didn't know much about him at all, actually. When they gave me his name, I looked him up, saw an article that he had won the Ultimate Fighter. I watched the first round of his Callen Juban, is that how you said it? Juban fight or something? The one where he fought that guy.
Yep.
Just the first round. And that's all the film I watched, the whole camp. I'm not big on watching film. I like to worry and think about only what I'm going to do and what I'm going to make him react to. So my team watched all the film on him, let me know what things he likes to do and stuff like that. And then, I kind of curved my style into things that I like to do to, attack his strengths.
So you have this situation where you're going to Curitiba and everyone's obviously rooting for their home country guy, and it's a fantastic event for the UFC. The weigh-ins, they said there was 15,000 people. Like, for you as the outsider coming in, trying to derail another hype train, what was the week leading up to the fight like you did? Is it one of those weeks where everything was just going right? Was it tough to adapt to Brazil? What was it like?
Yeah, I felt good going into the week. Weight was right on track, exactly how I wanted it to be. And I got there with Ben, and we set up our training, what at times we were going to train and everything was going smooth. I felt great. I had a great camp. There was no reason to go there and not feel good. So we just continued on what we were doing with the weight cut and getting the training session set up to adapt to the times so that I'd be fighting. And everything just kind of fell into place. And I just felt really great going into the fight, going into weigh-ins. I felt great. I wasn't worried about the fans and everything. I figured they'd probably be cheering against me, but that doesn't really get to me. When we're in there, it's just me and him, and that's all I'm focused on.
No secret, though, the fight started out a little dicey for you. It looked like he may have caught you with a guillotine right off the bat. How tight was that?
Not close at all.
At all?
At all. No, I didn't even have it under the chin. We've drilled him a lot in practice and stuff, so I was ready for any situation. But when he went for it, he wasn't even under my chin. And I was just waiting there, and he yelled to the ref. I think he yelled to him, "Oh, he's out," or something. And that's when I gave the ref a thumbs up right away, because I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to let him jump in and try to stop this early. And at that point, I was like, well, should I go for the escape and, get out of this position? And then he was squeezing pretty tight even still, so I was like, I don't know, I'll wait, let him gas his arms out a little bit, and then get to work. So it wasn't tight choking me at all. So I just took my time, let him blow his arms out a little bit, and then got back to work.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting how he was trying to convince the referee that you were out, and then you were like, no. That's a tricky move because sometimes referees fall for that, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely didn't want that to happen, so I wanted to make sure I was, okay, showing the ref that I was okay every second. As soon as he opened his mouth, I was ready, get the thumbs up, ready to go.
You had one of the best corners. I mean, what a corner you have. You have the likes of John Crouch and Benson Henderson in your corner. Who else was in that corner?
It was just John Crouch, Benson Henderson tonight.
That's right.
Night. Usually I have Hunter Nico on there.
Why wasn't he there?
Flights, everything was so expensive, and with passports and stuff, it was just a kind of a mess. It sucks not having him there, but definitely he was texting me. I was talking to him while I was in Brazil, and reminding me of things that we have worked on and things that I need to focus on in the fight.
What is John Crouch and Benson Henderson? What are they telling you in between the first and second? Because obviously you lost the first. What are they telling you to get back on track?
Just, getting his face, push the pace, that he's getting tired. We have to pretty much impose our will on him that he's getting tired. We need to make sure, it's Brazil, that we win this fight 100%. Like, we don't leave it, ultimately we didn't want to leave it to the judges. I didn't want to leave it to the judges. I always like to finish fights. So, that was what I was trying to do, and keep the pressure going and just make sure I secure this win.
Was part of the game plan to try to extend the fight because maybe the one knock could be like, take him into deeper waters, he'll gas out. You can go, you have a tremendous chin. It's not like, it's cake to knock you out. You seem to have a great gas tank. Like, did you want to try to test his cardio? And so, okay, it was almost like a moral victory. All right, I withstood the flurry in the first round, if you will. Now I'm going to get more comfortable in the second and third.
It's not really like the game plan. That's just kind of the way it goes. I'm kind of a slow starter, so it takes a little bit to get me going. But the game plan is not to drag him into deep water. If I can finish him early, I'll finish him early if the opportunity rises. But it just happened to go that way where I got started a little slow again. He went for that guillotine, took some time off the clock. I felt like I started to get going a little better towards the end of the first round. And going into the second and third, I knew I was going to be the fresher guy and ready to push the pace.
What about that chin, though? Have you always had a chin like that, like being able to take that kind of punishment?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've always had a good chin. Always getting in hard scraps in the gym, just throwing. It used to be actually just how I fought, back when I started, it was just out of a garage with some local fighters. We used to spar all the time. That's all we did was just trade shots with each other. I fought at heavier weight classes, traded shots with bigger guys. It was never a problem, never an issue for me. My chin's always held up, and I'm always confident in it. Definitely the goal is to not get hit as much. There's more every time I go into the cage and imply more damage to them. So that's something I'm always working on.
At any point, though, with those big punches, did he hurt you? Did he seriously hurt you? Did he rock you on your feet?
No, not at all. Not once. None of them shook me. None of them did anything. He hit me with some stiff punches that, just, pushed me back a little bit, but none of them, rocked me or phased me. I felt like I hurt him actually a couple times. Definitely I saw him like wobble a little bit, maybe eyes start to go back, like he was in trouble. So, but he hung tough in there, man. He's a tough guy. He was willing to, even taking some shots, still threw back hard. So it was hard to put him. I couldn't put him away. It was, it sucked, but I'm happy to still get the W.
Did when you went the distance, did you think, man, I don't know, the home cooking, I don't know if I'm going to get it. Did you think you got him, or were you kind of surprised that they gave you the nod?
No, actually, I thought I had it all the way. After the fight, read some articles, talking to some people, they're like, man, that was a close fight, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, man, was it that close? Like, I thought for sure I'd won. Like, I thought maybe the first round, the first round was probably his. But then, I was coming back towards the end. Second and third, I thought I had for sure. And I was like, what, wow, maybe it was closer than I thought. But when I was in there, it was definitely like, I got this. And then when they were about to announce this, they say unanimous decision, then it kind of was like, in Brazil. I slightly start raising my hand, a little premature. Bryan, okay, yeah, there we go. Yep, that was right.
Wow. And what would you recall what the atmosphere was like in there? Was it silence? What did you feel?
Yeah, I felt it was a little silent, but then, there was cheers. I think people just really enjoyed the whole fight, enjoyed watching it. I thought it was exciting, and I think the fans enjoyed it. It showed me respect, after the fight. Were nice, gave me some cheers, rooting for me, great fight, and stuff like that. Of course, the occasional guy that was like, oh, screw you, blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, it was pretty awesome. 45,000 people in there, packed stadium. Man, it was awesome, especially after getting, going into it. They weren't rooting for me, and then on the way out, to hear them rooting for me and giving me respect after the fight was really awesome. Yeah,
the Brazilian crowd has been, known to be hostile, unless you're Matt Brown on Saturday, and thankfully you didn't get punched in the head. It seemed like it was a pretty respectful crowd. Like they were cheering even Miocic a little bit, at least from my perspective at home. And so after the Sage Northcutt fight, you signed a new deal with the UFC, right?
Yeah, I signed a new 4-fight deal. Yep.
Do you kind of wish you waited for after this fight?
It is what it is. I'm just excited to keep getting more fights. I just want to keep fighting, keep getting better, fight better guys, and keep climbing the ladder. Hopefully next I get another tough guy and everything. I felt like I've had tough competition my whole journey in the UFC so far. Every guy I've had has been tough, and let's keep that going. I'll fight more tough guys. Keep lining them up. I'll keep knocking them down.
Your coach, John Crouch, who I have a ton of respect for, brought this to my attention after the fight. Joe Ellenberger was 15-1. Chad Laprise was 10-0. Sage Northcutt was 6-0. Warlley Alves was 11-0 before you fought them. That's a combined 42-1 record. You have been given no shortcuts in the UFC. It's pretty amazing. Did you know that? I'm sure they told you that, right?
Yeah. My coach actually told me, brought it to my attention in this camp or whatever, which is, it doesn't matter to me. Just keep putting them in front of me and I'll show you. It's nothing. Their record is something. There's someone's always going to lose. There's always going to be a guy to beat them. It's going to be me. Why not me?
Who do we want next? Who's on your mind?
I don't have any specific names, but give me a top guy. Give me a top 10, top 15.
Oh, yeah.
I'll show you. I'll keep showing you guys. And pretty soon everybody's going to know about Bam Bam and about me winning fights and not putting me as the underdog.
Why is your nickname Bam Bam?
I got it from my uncle when I was a young kid. I had blonde hair. My hair was blonde, and you had kind of like the pole haircut like Bam Bam did. And I just used to run around and was tough and rugged and always hitting stuff, throwing stuff, just being a rowdy little boy. And he's like, run around like Bam Bam, Bam Bam. He's calling that all the time. When I started training for MMA, my brothers remembered and, just throwing down and in the gym and stuff, that they started calling me Bam Bam again, and then it just kind of stuck with me. Which goes perfect, I think, with my style, and John Crouch actually agrees that the name Bam Bam goes exactly with how I fight.
Yes, and he actually gave me the lunchbox. Do your kids go to school with these lunchboxes? I hope they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's incredible.
They carry around all over the place. Their snacks and everything.
That's amazing. They must think you're the coolest.
Super cool.
That is. Did you make those, or did John make them for you?
He made them for me. He actually surprised me. I didn't know for the longest time. He kept telling me, "Oh, I got a surprise for you. You're gonna love it." Well, what is it? Oh no, you gotta wait and see. You gotta wait and see. I kind of forgot. I have a bad memory. Kind of forgot about it one day. Saw a box sitting outside the cage after practice one day. I was like, "Oh, what the heck's that? It looks like some shirts or something. I don't know." And we all line up, to respect Al and everything, and get some last words in from our coaches and everything. And he surprised me with the box and with the lunch box and everything. So it was a pretty awesome moment.
It's great.
I thought it was a great idea. One of the best gifts I've ever gotten. Probably the best gift I've ever gotten. It was really cool.
Yeah, very thoughtful, and also it sort of encompasses who you are as a fighter. You're sort of like that blue collar lunch pail type of fighter. and then to play off that with the lunchbox. It's one of my favorite pieces of memorabilia that we have in this little studio over here. I love it. You know who I think makes a lot of sense? This is maybe something that we can work on. Gunnar Nelson. What do you think of that fight?
Hey, I'm open for anything. Definitely talk with UFC. I'm open for anything. I'll fight whoever. If Gunnar Nelson's the guy, then that's who I got next, and I'm willing to take that challenge.
I'm looking at your Wikipedia, by the way, and it says that your nickname is Bam Bam. This might be Wikipedia just messing around, but it also says that your other nicknames are the Prospect Killer and Dad Bod. That's just someone messing, right? This is unofficial?
Is that really on there?
It's on your Wikipedia right now.
That's got to be wrong.
Okay.
That can't be on there. I mean, I'll own it, whatever.
No, it's on there. I swear, on Wikipedia, it's on there. Yes.
I'll have to go check that out.
Yes.
Hey, I'll own the Dad Bod. I'm not really a big thing about my body. You know, it's fine. I was growing up, I was a heavy-set kid and everything, so it doesn't really matter to me. I don't have the six-pack abs or whatever. I'll just stick with the power pack. We call it the Dad Bod. I'll go with that, and I'll just keep winning fights with that. That don't matter.
Let me tell you, as a father myself, as a proud wearer of the Dad Bod, you give me a lot of hope. You're an inspiration to fathers, out-of-shape fathers all over the world. So I appreciate that very much.
Well, thanks.
What was it like? Did you get to see your kids this morning?
Yes. As soon as I got home, they picked me up from the airport with my wife, and actually my dad was down here watching them while we were in Brazil. So they all came and picked me up at the airport. I'm super happy to see them.
Do they have any?
They were happy to see me.
How old are they?
My oldest is 7 boy, 5-year-old boy, and then my little girl's 2.
So the 7 and 5-year-old, do they understand what you accomplished? Do they understand what you do?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially my 7-year-old. Man, he's all over me when I'm in camp about things I'm not allowed to eat, and that I can't be having that. He's always tattling on me to my wife if I, snag a chip or something. So yeah, they definitely understand. They watch all my fights. They get it. They go to the gym with me every single day, so they're around it, 24/7. They're in it with me, and I take them with me everywhere. So, they understand and they get it, and they're involved in it. So I'm happy to do it, and that they get to be a part of it with me.
Final thing, I know after the Sage Northcutt win, you sort of felt like all the talk was on Sage and Sage losing, and you didn't get the respect you deserve. I mean, heck, your manager, Abraham Kawa, who doesn't stop talking about you, certainly let his opinions be known on that front. Do you feel like this one's different? Like now it's less about, all right, yeah, Worley was a big prospect, but it's like, man, this guy is good. I mean, this guy deserved it. This wasn't a fluke. Do you feel like it's a little different this time around than after the Sage fight?
Yeah, I think it's a lot different, Well, he's a big prospect. He doesn't have all the hype and everything that Sage did, at least in the States. I mean, he does have it, but it's not huge in the States. In Brazil and stuff, I talking to some of the Brazilian fighters there and stuff like that. He does have that following back in there. But yeah, I feel like I went out there, I put on a good show. I fought a tough guy, fought tough, got the win in exciting fashion and stuff with a war, and I think I'm getting the respect that I deserve, and people are starting to realize this guy's for real, so he deserves to be here and he deserves all the credit. So I definitely feel like this fight has kind of helped me with that.
Yeah, what a great performance, man! Congratulations. Enjoy it. Enjoy your time at home, and you did it again. It's an amazing thing. You're one of the great stories of 2016 thus far, what you did to Sage in New Jersey and now Worley in Brazil. I'm very much looking forward. I think they should keep this train moving along and have you keep knocking off these guys if you can. I think that's a pretty good sort of gimmick to have, if you get what I'm saying. So keep up the great work. Continued success to you, and again, congratulations on the win. And I really do appreciate you coming on the show after such a long trip home. It's very much appreciated here.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Ariel, for having me on. When there's opportunities that knocking at the door, you got to jump on and take advantage of them. Was able to do that twice, and being on your show is definitely an opportunity. So I was glad I got to take advantage of that. Everybody can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Bryan_Barberena. My Facebook fan page is Bryan Barberena. I appreciate all the support. Thanks for having me on, and I look forward to putting on another great show for everybody in the UFC soon.
And by the way, keep up the great beard. Don't get rid of that thing, all right?
No. This thing is here to stay. The kids love it. My wife loves it. I love it. it gets more recognition than I do. You know,
Yes.
I'm walking around, people are like, "Hey, your beard is awesome." No, hey, you're Bam Bam. Oh, hey, man, your beard is awesome, dude. Nice beard.
That is.
Well, thanks, man.
No,
Appreciate it.
the whole thing works with the fade and all that, and the part. It's just you're doing it right, my man. Keep up the great work, and looking forward to your next fight. Thanks again.
All right, thanks again, Ariel. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, there he is, Bryan Barberena joining us. Great stuff from him. Huge win, one of the highlights of UFC 198. A great card that was great on paper, that delivered. It was fun. Some people were asking me again, why were you not at that one? Nothing to it. Much like Joe Rogan, it was my son's birthday, and I wanted to be home. A long trip, and one of the things about going to Brazil is that if I do go to Brazil for an event, I can't do the Monday show. The worst part about going to Brazil is that there are no morning flights. Like he was just talking about that. His wife had to take one, but it's very close to when the fight card ends. So you got to wait till Sunday night. You fly overnight, and then you're playing with fire as far as coming in here and doing the show. So going to Brazil and then missing the Monday show, it just kind of screws up everything. So I have done it. I'm willing to do it, happy to do it. But this time around with the birthday and then wanting to do the show and keep it on a Monday, it just made more sense to be home. It was fun to sit home and watch the card. I did sort of miss not being there, especially after what happened with Stipe and his big win. But it was a little different being home for my first UFC pay-per-view since UFC 171. By the way, speaking of Stipe Miocic, great scenes on his Twitter page right now. He has landed home in Cleveland, people flocking to him at the airport. He's signing autographs, rocking the old school Cleveland Cavaliers jersey, sweatshirt. I love the fact that he's so proud of where he's from. And what a crime it would be, what a misstep it would be if his first title defense is not at the Q. It's got to be in Cleveland. He's a huge star there. He's a big draw. He's a freaking firefighter in Cleveland. You got to play that up. Don't do it in Las Vegas. Don't do it in Florida or some random place. This is one of those times. That's what made 198 so special. That card was catered to Curitiba, catered to Brazil. Unfortunate, and we do wish Anderson Silva the best after the gallbladder surgery. Kind of crazy that happened after what happened to our own Mark Ramundi. But the magic of that card was that they had all these great Brazilian fighters and a lot of local fighters as well. Cyborg and Shogun, successful. Anderson is also from Curitiba. Unfortunately, he didn't compete, but you also had Alves and Little Nog and Verdum, of course. It just made all the sense in the world. Here you have a guy who's so proud of where he's from, who's associated with that market, with that city. People think of Stipe, they think of Cleveland. He's done a great job of intertwining the two. They got to figure out right now how to make his first title defense in Cleveland. That's the play. You see the Cavaliers Twitter account. You see the Browns Twitter account. You see the Indians Twitter account. Players on the Indians tweeting about him. They just love him there. So you got to figure that one out. But it was a great story. I think still a little shocking to see Verdum fight that way. Of course, him being in Brazil and the pressure and doing all that, whatever it is. But Stipe Miocic, I disagree with Roy Nelson's take on the fight. He was backing up, but he landed a big punch while doing so, and he knocked out a guy who had looked fantastic in the UFC thus far. It's going to be interesting to see if he can defend the title more than 2 straight times, and I hope that he gets right back in there and fights Overeem, and then maybe fights, Kane or Brown after they fight again. Of course, there's still Mark Hunt out there. The JDS rematch would be great as well. Could this be the beginning of a long run for a UFC heavyweight champion? We'll see. Relatively young as far as heavyweights are concerned, hasn't taken a ton of damage, has had some tough fights. Could Stipe be that guy? Tweeter extraordinaire, Stipe Miocic. Could he be that guy? We'll see. All right, I think we're done. You're correct. You got anything else? Or have you fallen asleep back there after your long trip home?
I missed everybody.
That's it. What a performance out of you. I mean, you really nailed it today. Knocked it out of the park.
How dare you? I did my best.
You did your best. I hope you feel better, my man.
Thank you.
I do want to mention, final note, kudos to the good people at Bellator. They have started a Jordan Parsons Memorial Scholarship Fund. They announced this on Saturday afternoon. And they will annually send a young wrestler to the Jay Robinson Intensive Wrestling Camp, which was a favorite of the late Jordan Parsons, who passed away on May 4th. 3 days after being struck by a car while crossing the street in Delray Beach, Florida. So we posted something about this. Very nice. Scott Coker mentioned last week on the program that they were going to help his family, that they were going to honor him. And, I wanted to give them a shout out and a tip of the cap for starting that memorial scholarship fund. I know his family and Glenn Robinson really appreciate that as well. All right, we're out of time. Thank you very much. You can hit my music. Another show in the books. As I drink my water, here's the thing. New York Rick wants to bet me on the Cavaliers-Raptors series. I'm down. I think that the Raptors are going to win in 6, maybe 7. If you have an idea, he couldn't give me any good odds. I mean, come on. They're the underdog. You got to give me something. What am I working with here? What kind of odds? What's at stake? If you have an idea, hit us up using Twitter. Write to us. By the way, let's keep the train moving along on iTunes as well. Let's pump up those subscriptions, the ratings, all that stuff. And we're also on Google Play now. So that's very exciting as well. Still iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, but also Google Play. So if you're using an Android, you can check us out on Google Play. Very exciting. Trying to get the MMA beat on there too. So stay tuned for that. Speaking of the MMA beat, we are back on Thursday. Who knows what we'll be talking about on Thursday? Never a dull moment in MMA. For now, we have to say goodbye. Thank you very much to Guilherme Cruz for stopping by. Great stuff from him in Brazil. Thank you very much to Demetrious Johnson, owner of a new contract from the UFC. That's very exciting. Thank you very much to Will Brooks. Good luck to him. Happy trails. Please show up with the belt wherever you go. Thank you very much to Junior Dos Santos. Great stuff from him. Thank you very much to Roy Nelson. Good luck to him. Feel better, JDS. Thank you very much to Brendan Schaub, Bryan, Callen, and Joe Rogan. Wow, finally gracing us with their presence. Beautiful stuff. Thank you very much to Darrion Caldwell. Congrats on the new deal. And, of course, Bryan Barberena, congrats on the big win in Brazil. Back next week, same time and place. Until this episode, I'm out of here.